Hey everyone, I'm Tassenix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming, covering Grand Arena Season 78, 3 versus 3, Week 3, for Galaxy of Heroes, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. My co-hosts here are with me today, or at least most of them. We've got Dagger, TJ, and Fatal. Sasha Aisha caught up with some work here today, not able to join us. That's life. But good to see everybody. This is another live recording of the show. We're here with you guys on Twitch and YouTube. We've got a regular agenda to cover, and then when we're done with that, we'll take some, questions right here from the audience. So stay tuned for those later in the show. But before we go further, how's it going, guys? For this final week, I went 2-1. I had my first, the first round of the week was the only real one. I had Herbert, lost by a drop. That's just the way it goes. And whether or not I won or lost, the rest of the week, both of us were fighting Erodium. So was fortunate to get a couple good guest streams in, including TJ. And that's it for me. How about you, Dagger?
I went 6-3 overall. It was, did you beat SLK? Did you beat EEzra? And everything else on defense fucking sucked.
Yeah. Fair enough. Appreciate that. Over to you, TJ. How about you? How was the week? How did the season, end up for you?
1 and 2 this week. One we got to watch on your stream. I wanted to put on a good show as best I could. So 5 and 4 overall. I'll take a 50-50. But even though I only went like that, I've still had one of the most fun seasons I've had, including, I know on your stream I got to show you the bloodbath for my round 2, which is probably my favorite match all season, just because no one walked away unscathed. And that was awesome.
Yeah, that was a good time. I had a lot of fun with that one. All right, over to you, Fatal. How was the week? How was the season overall?
This season was fucking bizarre. This season was so easy and one-sided that I got to the point where I had to start losing on purpose to not land in Erodium land. So I had the one timeout last week, and then I threw a match this week. So I'm hovering right outside top 20. Nice. I don't know, man. My defense just kept on doing exceptionally well, and the entire time I felt like my defense was ass and extremely easily solved. And then holds kept coming in, and I was just like,
Is it possible? Do you think you fought a slew of non-scouters?
I don't know. I'm not gonna pretend to understand why things went the way they went. I basically just feel like I slept walk through an entire season. And it was just when set 25 ended, I figured it was going to be, all right, I gotta play super clean, I gotta lock in, I gotta figure out this whole cheeser hunter thing. And then I will have repaired my rank.
Quick question. When you say top 20, do you mean you're up by Sasha and Tass with all the Erodiums, or do you mean you're the 20th actual account?
Unlike Tassenix, I do not respect the I do not respect the percentage of the 30 plus accounts at the top 50.
No, more than reasonable. Damn. I just figured I'd ask.
So you keep on putting in your stream top 50, and I'm like,
yeah.
Look,
so
I sympathize with them.
You can think past the obvious. You know exactly why I have that in there, right? Because the very first YouTube comment, the very first one is what? What does it say?
Look, Galaxy of Heroes players can't read either way. You might as well just put top 20. In my opinion.
Not an unfair take.
Well, either way, Fatal, good work on the what do you call it? Rank repair.
Yeah,
I don't feel good about it. I figured I would have had to play well.
Nobody asked you. You're back.
Shout out to a couple people here in the chat. Thanks for joining us, Darcelea Dagger. Thank you for the Twitch resubscribe, 40 months and running. Got Powell Brzezowski says, it's midnight in Poland. Just wanted to say hi and listening here for 5 minutes in the background. We'll catch the rest of the show tomorrow. Thank you guys for sharing the insights. Keep doing that. Big thank you. Glad you enjoyed, man. So, I'm sorry, Fatal. Where were we? You were still wrapping up how your week went. Anything else you had to throw in on that?
I mean, we'll talk about stuff more later.
All right.
It just feels like naturally, a lot of the stuff was just like, it wasn't even like prep I did for this season. I didn't prep for this season, but seemingly I had the hard counter to a lot of this stuff just naturally from past projects from last seasons, and so people were just having mad trouble with stuff, and I was just sleepwalking through everything. It was just I have never had a season like this. I do not think I will have another season like this again. It was just like a fever dream.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I can't say it's certain for you, but I think that a lot of the unexpectedness is just people coming out of the fog of, the end of set 25. So everything that you were like, oh yeah, the last few months, all this worked exactly this way. And it's, that didn't work.
Yeah, set 25 feels like it might have just like done a massive brain drain on a lot of fundamentals in this game.
Think so.
I think 5v5 will be less so for what that's worth, but it was just like, boy howdy, there's a lot to process here for what's happening with the community at the moment.
Fair. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and kick off the season overview. So I guess the first thing, before we go any further, because Fatal asked about this, and we might as well get the elephant out of the room, straight out of the gate. A couple hours ago, CG put out the announcement stating what they're doing with Satele. And the short answer is they're, restricting the best of the goodness to being Old Republic. All right. How do you guys feel about it? Because I have a take, and I don't want to color the whole discussion with it, so I'll let somebody else go first.
Hold, please. I woke up like 35 minutes ago, so I need to read.
So,
yeah, you know what?
you
let me go ahead and just throw that up on screen. I can even do that. We have the technology.
I'm just one. They gave you the stuff back if you don't want to do it, but two, it feels completely appropriate.
It does. Here, I'll read it out. I'll read it out. Hello, Hollow Table Heroes. After the team investigated Satele's interactions with Galactic Legend Ray, we determined we needed to intervene. With tomorrow's update, we will be resetting players Satele to a level that allows you to reinvest if you want. Here are the adjustments we made. Special 2, Final Text. Dispel all buffs on all enemies. Deal physical damage to target enemy. Daze all enemies for 2 turns and reduce their tenacity by 10%, stacking until the end of battle. If all allies are Old Republic. Clause 1. Deal true damage equal to 20% of Satele Shan's max protection to all enemies. Clause 2. Jedi allies recover protection equal to 50% of Satele's max protection. Clause 3. Attacker allies gain Jedi's will for 2 turns, which can't be dispelled or prevented. And fourth clause, Satele gains defense up and tenacity up for 2 turns.
Just to clarify, the if allies are Old Republic, that's the change.
I think here and also in this part for the Omicron as well. While in Grand Arenas, enemies that are not dazed at the end of this turn lose 10% max health, stacking, and if all allies are Old Republic, Satele gains that much max protection, stacking until the end of battle. So that's
true damage on the special, and then the unique blocking turn meter gain and assists. Now requires all Old Republic.
And then they also changed the unique here, unique 1. Legendary Defiance. Sorry, was I cutting somebody off?
One spoiler, my favorite attack this season was using Satele. And her not being attributed to line to Ray, I love this. I love the fact that they, 1, communicated that they're looking into it, 2, took really quick action, and 3 are giving you the mats back to make a choice. All of this is great because Satele is Bane level fun to me. I love everything about her. It's super exciting, and it's not, well, we're just going to put her on Ray. I don't see anything bad. It's just so much good came from all of it.
Yeah, I just finished reading. I mean, if you want to read it out loud, you can, but I just
still will. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, the unique here for Legendary Defiance says final text: whenever a marked enemy starts their turn, Satele taunts for 1 turn. Whenever an ally reaches 75% health, Satele taunts for 1 turn. If all allies are Old Republic, clause 1. While Satele is taunting, she gains protection up 20% stacking for 2 turns whenever she's damaged. All enemies are immune to bonus turn meter gain, and they can't assist if they are targeting allies. Clause 2. While Satele has protection, her health can't drop below 100%, and she can't be instantly defeated. Clause 3. The first time Satele would be reduced to 25% health, she recovers 100% health and protection, and if Jedi Knight Revan is an ally, he also gains this benefit. While in Grand Arenas, so Omicron, whenever an Old Republic ally with less than 20% health is damaged, they equalize their health with the strongest enemy. If all allies were Old Republic at the start of battle, their revives can't be prevented. This effect persists through defeat. So there you go. So yeah, now that you had a chance to read it here while I was reading it out loud, Dagger, what do you think?
I think it's a reasonable fix. I think like TJ said, I think resetting it is whatever. Like, cool, we can reinvest. I think almost everyone will reinvest some amount of materials. I don't know. It every time they do something like this, I get like this teeth grinding feeling. Like for like, and this isn't the first time it happened, but it's the first time I remember like grinding my teeth. When the First Order ship, the Echelon, came out, and then the one of the people on the testing team just admitted that they never tried clicking KRCS's like third. They never considered it. It's like, oh, so you're telling me that you just didn't click a button, you didn't try a button, and this is like, oh, so you're telling me you just didn't try it with Ray? I don't know. But I'm not saying it's like the worst ever, and I'm not trying to like beat the dead horse or whatever, but it is just like teeth grinding. Like, new light side unit comes out, gets put with Ray, has unintended interactions with Ray and Ben.
I don't know.
Like, go fuck yourself.
Maybe I'm just accustomed to the notion that there's going to be, not for every new super powerful unit, but it shouldn't surprise me for some new super powerful unit that there's going to be unintended interactions. And what I'm actually happy with is not only the solution, but the timing of it. Like they're doing this here in the off week. They're not affecting anybody live. What was in the past is done, and then you get to make your decision about reapplying this here before the new season.
Yeah, I guess the annoyance I'm trying to say, like, is there was no reason for Satele to not have Old Republic clauses to gate possible interactions. And the fact that they, like, there are so many other characters that have come out in the last year and a half, 2 years that have had those clauses for safeguards, and they just left them off this one and assumed it would be okay.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels lazy to me, that's all. I do appreciate all the things you said, though.
Yeah, fair. Likewise. Hey, Vin Altabi, good to see you. Cosley, good to see you. Thank you for the follow, Pavel Kadats. All right, guys. Any other comments we wanted to throw in here about this change to Satele before we get into the rest of the regular agenda?
For one, I'm outraged.
Mm-hmm. Tell us more about that.
They couldn't wait until week 2 for me to curb stomp this team in the street like I was planning to. For the whole match 1 round start, my plan was not even on stream. I was gonna do this shit off stream. I was going to fight and back out repeatedly and just keep beating the squad with shit like Zori and EP Mara Starkiller and Balin, Great Mothers.
Fatal, how are you going to fight that? You're not going to get real players. You're moving to Task World. You're moving to the Erodium City. So you're not even going to see the stuff.
No, I lost on purpose.
Oh, okay.
Expressly
you
this
get
reason.
one. Yeah, you get one match. Now you can do it one time.
See, I lost on purpose, and then I looked at the leaderboard, and there was an Erodium directly above and below me, so I was like, ah, shit.
There's your rule. Yep.
Mhm.
Rule of thumb.
You thought that you could stake your place in the water, but what you failed to appreciate is that the tide is always coming down on you from above. It's always pushing you further out to sea, and so you think, oh, I'm far enough out where I shouldn't encounter any Erodiums, and then you find yourself surrounded.
They alter the deal. They are the Darth Vader of the game.
Jokes aside, yeah, I don't think she was very good under Ray. I personally think, because this is what I was communicating to CG, is Satele plus Watt was incredibly fucked. My plan for 5v5, aside from, I was also planning to do Satele against Reyes versus Satele just to be an asshole, like, don't use the word to define the word, but I'll use the base team just to counter the fucking 3 or 4 team amalgamation that y'all are posting. But Satele plus Watt against Vaynkron would have been a defining feature of this season, in my opinion. Vaynkron would have not existed because that boy would have shot 0 times. Well, aside from maybe Wog get shot once if someone ignores Tom, but what can you do? That's just the cost of doing business.
Yeah. As soon as the announcement went out, I saw just any number of people blowing up about it in the event server, saying, lazy CG, afraid of players actually being creative with their game. It's like, no, it's game, it's game breaking.
Hold on. Wait.
Wait, guys.
No. I have a question. Like, was this change done because of Watt? Because I was under the impression that this was because of Ray. So I apologize if this was...
So the original post acknowledging that there was an issue specifically called out Ray, but Fatal's also saying that he has advised about this other issue with Watt. So if it wasn't, it might not only be just because of Ray's, is the most we can say conclusively.
Okay.
I just wanted to call out about I was just looking at the extreme theory crafting of saying, let's just throw it with Ray. I could see where all of this excitement of, it just goes into the light side GL, it does light side. That's super tricky. Oh, you caught me off guard.
I mean, Dagger has a legitimate point. It is kind of
I like that idea, but
surprising that something like this wouldn't be found at this point, as obvious as it is. But as far as accepting that this is going to happen, if we can move past that and just, it would be nice. Yeah, it would be nice. But there's a whole lot of would be nices that don't even bear mention.
You have to remember this is the exact same community that launched essentially a protest or whatever because Leviathan wasn't sufficiently powerful enough because it lost to exactly Profundity.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, this is the same player base that, like, basically forced Executor to get buffed because they were pissy that it was beatable at, like, a 75 to 80% rate by an off counter, right? Like, I don't care what these shitters think. Like, I'm sorry to the people watching, but, like, the people on the event server, like, I don't care what they think. Like,
well, and I'm just saying that there's some amount of sentiment, and I don't know how popular it is, but that guy wasn't the only one, surely. And it's just one of those things where people fail to appreciate what it takes to keep a game like this balanced. And
this isn't. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and the only real people that should be unhappy about this are the people who want Watt to be like a usable character again.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because Watt's never going to catch a break because his techs are too good.
Read-offer, give weapon tech armor ignore back for separatists only. Tank tech, give taunt for separatists only.
Just for Watt. Man, Watt deserves to be as good as he was like 2 years ago.
I don't know. I feel, I mean, the game's just grown so much. Like, he's good, but anyway.
Well, they keep nerfing him and nerfing everything he's good with.
Watt is just the modern Nicester zombie of just like...
Yeah, that is...
PG being like, oh, God damn it, you fucking assholes. All right.
You bastard.
Yeah, it's fair. What's wrong with that, though? It's cool to give the thing out there.
Fair enough.
The changes are good. They don't bother me because they didn't actually change the functionality all that much. They just moved clauses of text around.
Yeah, it clarifies their design intent, which you would think most, interventions, as they put it, would be trying to do.
Make it explicitly clear, because I see a lot of people. I mean, look, Galaxy Heroes kit reading is an art. Most people don't bother with it. They have lives to lead. I get it. In extreme likeliness, Satele will still be the best R10 to apply in the game, in my opinion. The difference now is she will be pretty honest up until the point where you take control of the match. Like, honestly, my biggest knee-jerk reaction to this, like playing the fight in my head, I think Jolie quality becomes a bit more of a factor. Because I do think that there's going to be a period of you're going to have to take it on the chin for a bit. You're going to have to probably pop a Jolie revive. That revive blocker is there for a reason, right? You sure you weren't going to need it when you ran Satele Watt? Now, it's actually probably going to be relevant. You're probably going to have to bring some people back to life. Your Jolie better come correct with crit avoidance / defense / health / tenacity / whatever that boy needs to get the job done. And then you're going to revive, and then you're going to blow them up like you did before, and it's going to be fine.
Any last comments on Satele, guys? All right. Let's move in to the meta-analysis, and before that, let's talk about the season overview. I always forget that. That's our unique item to week 3. So, the feeling of this season overall. I mean, I'll say that it was fun having defense have some meaning. Like, I understand Dagger's critique that maybe only a couple of teams were of serious challenge and concern on somebody's entire defense in top end of Kyber 1. And that is largely the case. But you could definitely make some money on the margins. And those couple of teams actually doing something on defense is more than what I could really say for the reign of Set 25. So I'm okay with it. I had a good time overall. We had some erodiums, but what you gonna do? By the way, it ended up being 4 out of 9 rounds is erodiums. Isn't that just PG? So yeah, I had a good time. Sorry, who was about to chime in?
No, I just said I'll pass when it came to fighting 4 out of 9 erodiums, and what can you do? I choose to opt out. That's
I was gonna say,
but that's what I'm saying. You tried to choose.
Fine.
You tried to opt out. Now look what happened to you, smart guy.
Yeah, well, at least I'll get at least 2 real matches, if not 3.
So, depending on what day I say, I'm actually super
Get closer to
positive
that mic,
with
TJ. You're a little far away.
I'm actually not, so it's kind of weird considering I'm on my AirPods.
Well,
but that's
TJ
okay.
sounds fine. You're just deaf as shit.
I could be deaf.
Yeah.
Let me turn him up. There
Yeah.
we go.
So I'm actually super positive on the season and the cadence. I know I walked in with hesitation, but this was the first time we got to see the full cadence in part with like all of the datacrons. I enjoyed all of it. I walked in hesitant about it, but man, it was great. No set 25. Defense did feel appropriate. Even getting a 50-50, I still felt great, and it kind of excites me for where we're at.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I gave like a little bit of a snarky overview, right? But realistically, I really enjoyed how this season played out in the sense that we had defense crons back and dark side turn meter, and there were some good moving pieces that actually I did enjoy myself. I think there was a couple rounds I didn't play, but I did enjoy myself when I played. And I did also enjoy how my suspicion, at least my experience, is that my suspicion was correct regarding defense on datacrons, where it probably moves the needle more, possibly in 5s. when it comes to locking out off counters, but in threes, I didn't feel like large defense really mattered a ton. Outside of like maybe on a couple matchups that you were trying to like cheese. So I don't know. I snarky answer aside, this was somewhere in the middle of my enjoyment for seasons, and yeah, it was okay.
All right. You've had worse.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we covered everybody on that one. Meta-analysis and favorite attack / defense of the week. I mean, so I wanted to bring you guys a detail from my match with Herbert here with Pirate King. So I was able to win with Slacker, but it was terrifying because, damn, it just seemed like every time I stunned Vayne, that Vayne kept coming out of that stun real fast. I wonder why that is. I'm going to have to take a look at that. So yeah, as it turns out, if you have your Vayne modded such that he's about, just one faster than half of Pirate King Hondo's speed, he'll end up taking his first turn. Let's say Slacker stuns him. So he gets that first turn, it's 100% turn meter, hits 0 turn meter, losing the turn, right at the same time that Pirate King is getting his second turn. He uses his second special, he's got enough profit to feed 75% turn meter to his team, pulling Vayne much faster out of that second turn of stun. And that can be mission over. So if you wanted to set yourself up for this, I did it myself. I took a look at Herbert's and I did a bit of monkey see, monkey do. I've got a 604 speed Pirate King and a 312 speed Vayne. What you just have to account for the leadership bonus with Pirate King. He gives pirates and scoundrels 3% speed each, so Pirate King himself gets 6%, whereas Vayne is only a pirate and gets 3%. So make sure you account for that in your calculations. Yeah. And that's something you can still benefit from for, the upcoming 5 vs 5 season.
Yeah, I mean, like Fatal said, most Swoga players are illiterate, so, listen to what Tass says. If you want to try to take advantage of cycling him out of that stun pretty quick, although I don't know how much that's going to matter in fives because, well, just reasons. I feel like that team's just going to die so much faster.
We will still get one more season out of set 28, right?
That
in
is
threes.
True. That's actually something I wanted to talk about too.
Sure.
I really felt rewarded this last Kron season for going a little bit wider because we're getting 2 3v3s out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we don't talk about this as much during these shows, but I really think it behooves you for like going into this next Kron set, because it's going to be around for 2 5v5s and only 1 3v3, to probably just look at re-rolling a little bit more than building tall. Right, so like put a little more effort into re-rolling in 5s, and the ones that are going to have 2 5v5s, and a little bit more into going wide for the 3v3s, because you don't need more than like 8 to 12 level 9s per set, because you get 3 of them now. Like Tass was saying, or I think it was Tass was saying, this is our first like cycle of seeing all 3 sets active at once. So a lot of my takeaways from like this last season are more macro level takeaways as opposed to like meta takeaways, because man, we're gonna have 2 new Kron sets for the next 3v3. So I don't know how many takeaways.
We are talking about the meta of this last week. I mean, so if you have comments on that in a macro sense that you want to add, by all means, tack that in.
Oh no, this was an aside, like towards next. This was an aside, not towards the last week. But yeah, the Vayne Kron continues to just be very powerful. Right? I mean, it's good. You can neutralize it with SLK relatively. I won't say easily, but consistently.
I would just like to point out that I've been telling people to do that on this very podcast since the first week, but it's not real unless old Herbert does it, I guess. I'll just,
You did say it.
Put my bag on the stick and walk away.
I would like to just point out, Fatal, that while you're right, you said it first.
You did.
You did. You didn't say the whole thing, which is the where he needs to be clocked. You just said you had a fast Vayne.
I don't think I had a slow Vayne. I don't think the clocking matters. All that matters is that your Vayne goes before the Hondo
Gets
TM
his second
plus
turn.
Mass Assist. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you actually have to spend that much speed. Because I was completely blocking at SLK in week 1 and week 2.
How fast
my-
is your Hondo then? Do you have a slow ass Hondo?
540.
Yeah, that is slow as shit.
That is pretty
That
slow.
man is doing cardio. That man is not Usain Bolt. He is going for a stroll.
That's fair. You have in like 3 defense sets then?
I think you said a
No,
couple
I
weeks
don't
ago.
think I did.
I think you said last week you had him around 280 or something.
Yeah,
Your
like
Vayne.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it
if
was
Vayne's
like-
280 and Hondo's 540, like he's set up the same way you are.
Yeah. So yeah, we're all there. We're all on the same page.
All that matters is Vayne goes before Hondo's second turn.
Yeah.
But Fatal, you have Hondo in 3 defense sets?
No. That man is 540 with like a speed set. I cut his budget hard. I do not really give a shit about that team. Like
Oh,
I said
fair.
at the show start, it just through changes that I made in past seasons happen to be extremely conveniently well placed to counter the current meta. And so having a very lazy ramshackle Pirate King Hondo caused people to go 0-4 on SLK.
No, That's more one thing I also kind of have noticed is that with that data, with that bullet point being added to like the wheels spinning in my head, that's the second GL now where their mods don't fucking matter. So it's really nice, at least in 3s, to have when you have to like maybe mod some more specialty characters, having like Jabba and Hondo's mods like not matter is really nice. Or having maybe a better way to put it is saying that you don't have to budget them as nice of a set.
It turns out it's convenient when you just say, everyone's just going to SLK it anyway. And you just stop caring. And then they don't SLK, but it just works out anyway.
Yeah.
Love that for them.
Yeah. So that's really all I had to throw in there about Pirate King. How about you guys? Anything else?
Sorry.
Basically, I would say really just focus on the Vayne, as long as you're counting Vayne turns. Like, and it doesn't even have to be active counting, because I'm going to be honest, I got kind of bored with that fight that I would just kind of like have zone out. But as long as you're being mentally present enough to be able to reasonably accurately say, okay, this Vayne is 1 turn away from coming out of stun or 2 turns away. Like, frankly, I got a repeat match this week from someone who knew my Pirate King Hondo, and we don't have the history yet, but I assume that they used SLK this time around. I don't think that the Hondo Vayne clocking is necessarily guaranteed. I think it's just you need to be more present, you need to be more vigilant, and as long as you're active and thinking about it, you're probably fine. To that end, though, there were some interesting things that I was kind of fumbling through in week 1 and week 2, but now that I'm actually looking for it, started to feel pretty good, which is like, if you fight OG Hondo, Ray Lightning Opener actually feels sick. Because the stealth forces handcuff on SLK, which does fucking nothing. And you just, wrestle full control fight from there. You get Huck Swap turn 2 easy, and my banners are like, I'm not going to pretend that I was like ADHD medication fucking like, okay, the Vayne is 4.8 seconds away from coming out of stun, but just, again, like, just being aware enough and, like, being mindful of your resources and their timing and, like, especially fast cycling, like, level 1 SLK ults into repeat Ray shocks and all that. My banner average kept going up and up and up against pretty much all configurations. That, yeah, it, I don't know if SLK is necessarily the cheapest or best, but, like, especially, I finally tried a JMK just because I was bored one day. But, like, I would still be fearful of OG Hondo into JMK. And so, like, if SLK is just the safe, neutral, get the job done, I think good banners SLK is kind of assured, especially if you're willing to make your there's too many H characters. Hux. Bulkier, which I did not. but I need to. And I'm pretty sure everyone else is probably like mine, where you just have random primaries and probably not that much survivability.
Low key, I'm pretty sure my Hux is still in 3x tenacity sets with a cross.
Every time that I look at him, it's like he's got a crit damage triangle and a tenacity cross and a speed set arrow, and I'm like, man, that's crazy. I should fix that someday.
Yeah, good old 2020
it.
mods on Hux.
Yeah, I mean it's served this long, and I made him a huge bag of protection with 200% tenacity at 309 speed. So he does die, but I don't know that I'm gonna. I should, but I still have other priorities for defense mods.
The reason why I would just be for like the one time I'm getting 50 forward is like if I'm fighting an SM33 version and the SM33 punches Hawks with like the the first special, the 6 hit.
Yeah. Giga
the magic explodes, and like, if he was modded correctly, is he surviving that? I feel like he probably is.
Can we call that punch the E Honda? Street Fighter fans know. Can. The Street Fighter fans know.
Honestly, if you're going to put in threes, if you're going to put OG Hondo on that team, might as well call it Bonnie Blue. The amount of fucking that SLK is going to do to it, but you're going to be a little bit better against like JMK and some of that stuff, like Fatal kind of mentioned. The data from week 2 actually looked like JMK was pretty good versus like Brutus. But SLK sucks versus Brutus, and especially Quiggle. I shouldn't say sucks. He goes down to like 70%, right? Which is like the best you can hope for. But people keep placing OG Hondo for some reason. And OG Hondo makes like Maz not embarrassing if you want to do something with Maz. Because without OG Hondo, Maz feels pretty useless.
I know Fatal already hit on this, but like the OG Hondo seemed like the best tech to put in that team this season to impede JMK. If your opponent was just gonna do JMK, and that's what it was, your best odds of causing serious pain. Well, aside from that, it wasn't doing a lot to impress me either.
Yeah, and I'm not even saying you need Maz to be a team. The 2 conquest units not getting used. I'm not even saying that Maz needs to be a team, but if Maz was going to be a team, needs Honda in 3 years.
Yeah. All right, next item here. So, Traya versus Saw. This was painful. Now, I had one more drop than Herbert, and that cost me that first round. It could have, you could have said that either one of the drops, if I didn't have it, would have saved me. But let's talk about the Traya one, because Traya Nihilus Savage worked for me every other time this season against Saw. It might take a while, and there might be a couple big hits that you take along the way, but nothing that felt unreliable. If I didn't have anything else assigned for Saw, I knew that I could be safe with Traya. So I went on in against Herbert's, and, Kyle Katarn did his saber toss at Saw. Saw was fine. And then it came around to Kyle's second turn, where he did the AoE, chunked Saw super hard, followed up with the basic, and Saw was gone. And it was at that moment that I knew I had fucked up.
By the way, you said Saw a whole bunch. I think you're saying Trey in that reference, but just you saw the shit out of that Saw.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Using my Savage got popped by Kyle. So on the second turn, and I was screwed from there. So I took a look at it, and unlike every other Saw I fought this season, all these other ones were high defense stack, which is great if you're trying specifically to ward off stuff like Inquisitors. But if you want to make things tough for Traya, and especially for people like me that were using the Nihilus Focus Datacron, giving them just a really stodgy defensive profile, put a bunch of armor penetration on your Saw team. Because that plus the Long Text Mercenary defense penetration level 6 with Kyle is brutal. And by the way, Herbert's Kyle Katarn has something like 220 speed, but 12,900 offense and a crit damage triangle. So I saw that and was inspired. I mean, in addition to making a couple other changes here this week, Kyle Katarn is the latest Relic 10 here. 265 speed. I might try and tweak up and see if I can't get another 10, 15, have him somewhere around 280 in the end, but he's perfectly serviceable as is. Crit damage setup, so we got the 222 and just over 12,000 offense. I have very high confidence that, especially during the life of this, Kyle Katarn Datacron, this is going to be hideous. So that's my news about Traya versus Saw. How about the rest of you guys?
Would throw into the pile the counter for armor penetration is armor.
Uh-huh.
And motherfuckers need to stop using that Nihilist Datacron. Come to Jesus moment. Throw on Savage lead. And grab your best defense cron. And look, defense crons appear to be more scarce than usual. So if you don't have a good defense cron, hey, you remember a year or two ago when I was talking about defense mods? Now more than ever, especially if you don't have a good defense cron to do the work for you, you should slap some good defense mods on, and you should collect your free 57 banners. The time has come. This is a very easy example of that sort of situation. I saw a variety of fights over the weekend as I was just like, I was just kind of like, man, what the hell is this season? Like, I'll go watch the matches and see what's up. I saw Traya's got popped. I checked the counts. Traya's were not rocking armor. And look, man. When I say armor is the counter to armor pen, if we're talking something like Bad Batch where they're just like ramping insanely infinitely, no. But in this case, yes, even if we're talking like 300% pen on Kyle plus the level 6 for plus 100%, as long as you do your due diligence, you are fine. You will, lose some of the benefit, but to put it simply, my Traya will have more armor than your Traya ever dreamed of having. And I looked at the math. For the average Traya right now, if you are fighting that Kyle Katarn Pencron, your Traya literally has 0 armor.
Also, Traya is like a really old character. So is Nihilus. So is Savage. And I'm pretty sure they all have pretty dog shit, like, armor.
Yeah.
They need a lot of
Traya
help.
like 40-something%, like 43% or some shit like that without mods?
Well, and surely, I had been successful using Traya lead, so I was never punished for not taking advantage of Savage lead until that last time. So, that was an easy thing I could have changed. And yeah, I appreciate the way that you chose to introduce that, Fatal, but the reality of the situation is I lost that fight due to not reading, I just assumed that I knew what was going on with the Kron by not reading the Kron and seeing the high armor penetration stack. Had I looked, I might have spared a thought to think, oh man, maybe I should throw on a defense Kron. I may have. I can't say that I would have, but I might have. And I didn't give myself the chance because I chose to not read. So,
in my case, I fought in like week 1, match 1, and I had just like spent my best defense crown like screwing around elsewhere. And then came around to that Kyle fight, and just like the best defense I had to spare was like 125%. Ran that fight, I was not on defense mods either at the time, so like, ran that fight, got popped. Like, yep. All right, well, I don't really want to swap them over to defense mods, so congratulations, you are now on 400% defense budget from now on for the rest of the season. The 395% crowd, that's the Traya crowd. Nobody else, don't even look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Just checking real quick, like both Nihilus and Savage, their base armor is like 51%.
Pretty good.
And Traya is 44%.
Don't you have both of those at R10, Fatal? At least Traya, I know you do.
Sure, I do, but I don't think her armor changes much. She was largely just for crit chance.
Yeah.
Oh, you took it
Traya's
for
in,
crit
like,
chance. Oh.
yeah, my Traya's in some serviceable defense mods at like 64% armor,
Mhm.
and that's still really low.
It's plus 20%, which is hard to do to her. That's like over 20% added.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I mean, like,
the
I
number
want,
goes up very easily if you have a low base. It's just because of how basically when you go up in armor, the higher you get, the harder the percentages get to tack on because the more each percent contains, more or less.
Hmm.
So, like, if you slap a like 3 mod sets plus defense secondaries, I think my Traya gets as high as like plus 25 or plus 28% defense, which is not normally, you know. If a
yeah,
character
so like,
has high base armor, you would expect a full defense set to like max at like plus 20%.
so like 3 defense sets with like no secondaries brings her up to like almost 60% armor.
Mhm.
That's just with 6 mods.
Mhm.
Because yeah, and so I think I think I'm gonna remodel all 3 of them a little bit. But yeah, they're all just they're so flint. Like Savage League goes a long way to making them bulkier, and like Fatal said, like basically just assigning a defense cron to them all season kind of sucked.
Mhm.
But I mean, cron budget wise, not that it was bad to have it. Right? It's like this 270% defense. It's just gonna be on Traya.
If anyone wants an easy out and they don't have a good defense cron between last set or whatever we try to get in the off league this week and this set, like, frankly, throw on your best defense sets with percent defense secondaries or flat because again their base is bad. Honestly, like just the Asajj cron, right? You got 150% defense, 80% offense. That's like a fine foundation to start from as long as you're supplementing it with mods, right? Like that will probably take you pretty far depending on your core Traya quality.
And the offense will help, a fair amount too.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up next as well. Well, okay, so the fight goes one of two ways. Like, I'm a Talon enjoyer. I think you just got to Nihilus this one out. I think for this season, just how it seems to be playing out, just bring the Nihilus. I don't think there's any way around it. It's just better and easier because Talon seems to be. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I could try like armoring up Talon, but frankly, it's just easier with Nihilus. Talon just dies a little bit easier to Kyle. But there's 2 ways this can go, right? Either you try to kill the decoy and then annihilate when the decoy is dead, which means you are on the hook for some amount of damage output, or you wait for the mark to drop, which does happen. And so you shoot for that window. And frankly, I think once Kyle drops, like, you're kind of just set and things tend to unravel from there, because I think they do lose a fair amount of, like, extra speed up. Luthen provides some, but I think the double redundant speed up just kind of seemed to help keep Luthen making the summon more aggressively. But yeah, if you're not able to field high damage, just keep in mind that the mark will drop. Play patience. Try to line up the Annihilate for that window. Because I know there are some players that I saw who they would miss that the mark had disappeared.
And it's easy to do because you have...
Yep.
You play with your buffs collapsed, and that just bothers me too much. So you're usually not the type that's going to get caught out by this. But for players like me and a lot of other people that do like their buffs spelled out, it is easy to miss that mark having dropped off that summon because he's always going to be in the back. So it's easy for his buff row to hide behind other characters.
And it's easy to forget that the mark isn't just permanent, because functionally a lot of the time it can feel permanent, right? Especially if you're killing him and he's coming back and the mark is coming back with him. But yeah, the windows are there. So for the next season, just keep that in mind. If you are struggling to kill the decoy frequently, if you're not going through, then you're going to have to go around.
That's a good one. All right, guys. Anything else you wanted to mention about Traya versus Saw? All right, that about covers it. Oh, I see. Daddy's Precious Sweetness came up to request a snack. Here you go. You can have it. Enjoy. All right. Guys, the meta-analysis list is pretty short, which is typical of week 3. Not a lot new, right? Any other meta items that you really wanted to mention, or, barring that, any other attacks, defenses that really stuck out this week?
I'll bring up the one I thought was good.
Please,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh, I was going to say Stranger versus Ezra was good.
Stranger versus Ezra. So okay,
It's talking about, like, the
Stranger
Ray
Star
Ezra.
Killer Spider Mall versus Ray. Ray Swallow Ezra is what you mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you could use it against Ahsoka Ezra too.
I haven't, but I just wanted to clarify. Big argument.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, though, super cool. The first, so round 2 of this week, I hosted Dark Killer and FC Dadadan, these 2 French guys that are playing with about a 15 million account, and they're fighting and scrapping up here with the 17 plus millions. They're playing pretty well. They had their, I want to say it was a slacker fight, go disastrously against Ray Swallow Ezra with the Chodakron. They went back in with Balin, Shin, Marok, Balin focused Datacron, and it was kind of a long shot. We were just, they were just doing it because what the hell? They literally had nothing else that could have been a better candidate for taking it on. So it was a long shot. Let's see what kind of damage we can do. Nah, dead, full banners. So, that's time-stamped. If anybody didn't catch that live, that's a great fight to see. And another alternative that most people weren't even thinking about this week. I can't imagine that it was brand new. I'm sure somebody else did it prior to week 3, but it's not getting a lot of visibility, I think. That was incredible to see. I appreciate you reminding me of that, Dagger. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll get one I liked. No, it was during your match, and I wanted to try it. And if you don't want to do the Traya, I'm going to call my fight user error, but the Inquisitor Barris with Second Sister and Ninth and that Inquisitor Kron, it felt really good. I made a mistake, and I don't want to penalize the team. I know there's a lot of people are just like throw it on defense, but I could have easily probably cleared that out just fine, and my stuff is okay modded. But it felt really in control, and we can go back and watch it again. There was a call out where it's like, "Oh, you should have gone and call here." It's like, "Cool." I hadn't played the fight, so just trying to understand the team, but it felt super responsive, and you felt like you were in control for the majority. And if I'd taken it at the right time, their damage dealer was dead because the taunt did drop, and there was the opportunity was called out. So I like that. I like the opportunity. Is like you don't have to stick to this, and this team can come off defense for what really is a high value target. Because I think Saw was a pretty big monster for a lot of people this season.
Agreed. Yeah, I've been progressively buffing up my Saw as well. He's at 130,000 health, 361 speed, almost 61% armor. He is flying. Not on the hot list to be Relic 10. But in the long term, he's going to get it. We get it. Thanks for that, TJ. Other meta matchups, favorite attacks or defenses, anything else that stuck out to you guys?
I guess I could shout out that, as one of the few resident indoor Ahsoka players, or indoor Ezra players left, still just a firm believer that Ezra is not safe outdoors. I fought an Ahsoka who didn't have an Ezra, and I just ran full Malmandos on the start. And I did end up timing out. It was an art on Ahsoka. Well, it was a 75% health cron. But got to Ahsoka last ending very easily. Looked at my Gar ISC. They were not built for the matchup. They had a lot of mod budget left on like tenacity and survivability and stuff like that. I think if I give them offense mods, I think that shit would go down very easily for 56. So, yep. If we're in a post-Satele world and you're like, oh man, I don't have JKR lead anymore. Yeah, man, those Ahsoka teams aren't getting any better. And, I like GM as much as the next guy, but I also possibly would like GM to be elsewhere. And that fight went down pretty easy. I would say disappointingly so.
Fair enough. How about the rest of you guys?
I'll give you one more test we did. It was, and again, I called it out. My favorite one is the Bane 2.0 Satele. We got to show it against LV, high setup, and it plays itself out because you're just pummeling LV so hard and you keep the stick up. We talked about the just go mark them, move around the fight, but it's all very easy. There's, I want to say almost not a wrong way to do it once the LV is dead. And the regain on the banners is also super easy, or at least it felt that way. So just that's why, again, Satele absolutely just anywhere you get to use her. And she's fallible because it doesn't beat everything. So that's again just a shout out to CG with making one of the best characters they made in a long time.
Sure. Yeah, a couple interesting points here. Guilty in the chat, good to see you. Guilty says, Stranger versus Pirate King was 100%. I heard that if OG Hondo was there, that might be a problem for Stranger. I don't have data to confirm. I heard iffy things. I don't know if you guys heard anything about that.
Stranger beat mine, but like their Star Killer was dead. It was like a 52. I don't really know.
And you were running Hondo still all this week, yeah?
Yeah, I never took them out.
Yeah. So that's an interesting mention, because as soon as you said that, Guilty, I was thinking about it. I'm pretty sure Hondo was a good wrinkle for that. Now you say Balin versus Saw is 100%. I've definitely seen people have strong results with Balin overall, but not 100%. There have definitely been a couple people that if you don't, land, I think you're mostly wanting the stun more than the turn meter removal, which is why a couple players I see that are using Balin to counter Saw, they're running the potency cross on Balin just to make that all that much more likely. So it's not guaranteed, but it is high probability. That's not a terrible one. Let's see here. Yeah. See, Greyport in the chat says, I lost with the Balin versus Saw. Kyle got the throw in and just nuked Shin. Yes, it is pretty easy. Right after Saw does that second turn where he's going to do his AoE dispel, taking your taunt off. If you don't have like the sticky taunt on Balin already, that can be bad. Fair.
We'll also point out, if you build your Luthen correctly, Balin can Luthen. Sorry. The names are getting too similar. Mm-hmm. If you build your Luthen correctly, Luthen can also be the one who knocks. And also can delete people.
True. Well, and that's actually like a perennial advantage, right? The way that you've got him set up is paying extra high dividends right now, but it's generally dangerous. We're not used to having Kyle being the real threat condition on that team, right?
Yeah, I think this is... My timelines are blurry, but I think this is actually the first season where like Nuke Luthen has actually gone on defense, because I think it mostly sprang up from me trying to maximize the team on offense, but I don't remember if that's 100% true.
I remember you advocating for the 58s and whatnot when that was a new Relic 10 for you. Yeah,
it's people don't know that he can throw down like that, and so the possibility of him sharing that experience to new people, new faces around the world, it's a warm fuzzy feeling.
Now, interesting comment here from Ray Rock in the chat. Satele was terrible versus Saw. I got wiped. And I'll be interested to look at data on that. You would expect that against some Sith teams and maybe some other teams that have protection disruption or something of the kind would be bad news for Satele. I really wouldn't think that Saw would be the worst of them. I'm imagining that a lot of that has to do with our mercenary defense penetration.
I think a lot of that has to do with having R5s.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, if you're getting Relic Delta Gap, that is an unsung attribute of this season. So Relic Delta was released not too long before Set 25 came out. Something like that. The timing was pretty short in between the release of Relic Delta and the dawn of Set 25. This is your first full Datacron meta looking back now on this season, where Relic Delta actually meant something because you didn't have perfect stats on all of your crons to more than overcome a small disadvantage of, 2, maybe even 3 Relic Delta. Now the rubber hit the road on that. So, yes, I definitely felt like being the heavyweight in more of my matches bent RNG a little more my way. Mostly on attack, I felt that. So I'm okay with it. Ray Rock said his Satele versus Saw, disaster was Relic 7 versus Relic 7. Yeah, I'll be interested. I mean, you're really thinking about a team that exploits health stacked teams, which you would not largely expect Satele's team to be full of these days. So I'm curious about that.
I think one of the reasons it may fail is just for the simple fact that the team is kind of a 4-man team. So like losing any one of them just might lose you too much. But I honestly also think that once people get their modding dialed in, it'll be better. Like, I'm looking at it right now, and Satele is pretty bad versus Saw, but I don't know how much of that is because people don't know what they're doing versus how much of it is, Kyle Kron or something.
Now, when you
Is
say
it
bad, you
Satele
mean...
with Jolie?
Sorry, what was that?
Is it using Jolie or is it using Bastila?
Bastila is the only one that has wins.
Mm.
Granted, there's only 7 battles, right?
Mm. Yeah.
But I'd be willing to wager that this fight... Well, I filtered both by R8. R8 on offense, R8 on defense. If I filtered by R7, what does it look like? We'll do some of this in real time.
Mhm.
Yeah, the percentage goes up. So it looks like the higher the relic on Satele, the better your chances are to win.
Fair. Surprising, I suppose.
I would just say, like, I know we're talking R7 versus R7, but
Yeah.
to me, it's kind of like talking about an R7 JML versus something.
Yeah.
It's like, look, man, everyone's working with where they are in the game, but I would really give Satele the special treatment similar to JML of like, most people are kind of treating R10 as just like wait for something to come along and require it and like give it to the absolute necessities. At minimum, at least R9, but I would also argue R10 is like Satele is just that character, right? She is the modern JML. She is the exception. We talk about a lot of R10s on the show. I am not talking about Satele in the same way as those. She is just like the actual.
She is She is an auto R9 and pretty good R10.
I honestly, I don't know. You want to see application that has one of the best uses is Satele at R10. Like, to me, it goes without even. There's just no question to this.
I will say from a small sample size, 1 week of each, functionally not a difference.
Okay.
The fact that she uses total max and not base max. I mean, look, is R10 as big of a jump as R9? No. But still, in terms of like what it numerically actually gives you, like she is just like the biggest bang for buck R10 in the game, I would say. If you're gonna give it
I think what we can agree on is that having an R7 Satele is like having an R5.
Yeah, well, I think what we've all but said is that all things being equal, with the Relic 7, the experience of Satele at Relic 7, just like with JML, is not representative of the Relic 9, Relic 10 experience, and I completely agree. If you accept the rationale that's been given on this show and previous episodes and virtually everywhere else for why JML was a high value Relic 10, you should accept the same for Satele. The fact that she is based on total protection, where she is in fact stacking her protection, arguably makes her a better value than JML because, the litmus test for for the highest callings of applying relics on non-Galactic Legend characters is, does this let you take on a Galactic Legend team? Yes, it was already doing that. So now do it more easily, more assuredly. Sorry, you were going to say, Dagger.
Yeah, the higher relic you go up with Satele, the higher the win percentage versus pretty much everything. I'm just looking at it right now. Saw with Yeah, look, it doesn't look great. Between 50 and like 63%.
Yep.
Jolie's 63%. Bastila's 50%.
Fair enough. Yeah, good
Although I
good couple
suppose some
points
of that,
thrown in here from the chat. Hey, Asake G, thank you for the resubscribe here for
I do
$7.
think that a lot of that has to do with the modding, because I think a lot of people just have put no effort into remodding this team.
When you say remodding, who do you feel needs the attention? What are we talking about when we say remodding?
What I mean is people haven't touched their Jolie mods in like 3.5 years, and people haven't changed their JKR. I was poking fun at TJ a while back about him having his JKR at 315, right? Like I'm just saying, like I think a lot of people just haven't done their due diligence on their Old Republic, and it's gonna be. And I have to take all the data with some grain of salt because of that. That's basically all I'm saying. Is not everyone is. I mean, I saw some busted ass Sateels out there too. It's like some absolute just butts Sateels.
The dividing line between health and protection primaries on like your Jedi Knight Riven right now as well. My Riven was on protection primaries, and it was very, very felt for me the past week.
Tell us about that, because I felt nothing about it. I put him in protection at the start of this season, and I felt like no discernible difference. Please expand on that.
No,
it was just, having the 100% protection from Satele lead. I was bringing Satele into stuff like EEzra, and that fight just felt defined by watching that protection bar slowly chip down, reach 0, get a Satele AoE off, and watch it jump back up. I mean, there was something to be said for, like, was I kind of living in fear of, like, Ben solo ignoring protection and popping him? Sure, but I was also, like, being vigilant to keep him controlled, to stop him from doing that, so it never happened. But yeah, no, I mean...
I would say I also think the Prot on JKR is relatively noticeable.
For how squishy he is normally, I just felt like he was taking a lot more than I would have rated him to take.
So to be clear, I think I misunderstood you from where you started from. You are saying that you are noticing that after having remodded JKR for protection, that you appreciate a survivability increase that you've observed.
Yeah, it just, ever since the days of JKR JKL against SLK, my Revan has always sat on 4 health primaries. And for this season, I switched him over to protection, and I feel like that's correct. Unless you're 100% just worried about, oh man, I gotta take a Ben solo hit, or something like that. Yeah, the protection just feels 100%. Like, Revan is a hyper squishy character, and yet he was able to hang.
Yeah.
I also know this is a 3v3 show, but also bear in mind that in 5v5, taking the damage off of Revan is actually advantageous, because it's less likely the marked unit will die, and you'll get the bonuses from the marked unit being marked.
Oh, so does that mean you're not running a crit damage triangle? Like you're like... Go ahead.
I'm considering switching it to Prot, just because I think his survival is more important. And I've had a couple instances where you use the mark and then they die, and I don't want them to die.
Yeah,
and they're not dying.
You want the follow-up attacks.
They're dying to like crits from across the board. So taking a crit damage triangle off Bastila and taking the crit damage triangle off Jedi Revan, I think are both things that I want.
Yeah, the team's damage output is 100% true damage.
Yeah, because you don't have to worry about anybody else's damage besides just nuking people with Satele lead.
So Fatal, are you likewise in the protection triangle as well?
Oh, I always was. I think building that for damage was very misguided.
Fair. Yeah, I happen to have enough special crit where it's something, and I've got. I'm sure you'd probably have a considerably higher amount of protection, but about 60k. So I could take a look at it for the next season. It's not an unfair point.
I am so true damage pilled that I'm just like, what even is offense as a stat, really?
All right. No, I should take a look at that myself. I'll put them on the read about
also, just list. A quick reminder to if you thought you cared about your Bastila Shan's speed, just don't care.
That is really
I had her
sweet.
pretty fast, and it felt like I was regretting it because she kept on taking
Yeah,
turns.
she cycles too fast.
Yeah, she's cycling too fast, and I was like, "Motherfucker,
Yeah.
just stop! Just
Wouldn't you-
stop! I'm
why
like
is-
5% per meter away."
Why do we say too fast? Like, what's wrong with her being fast? Mine's like 306, and I enjoyed her being quick, and I really
I want her
did.
like I want her like 220.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
so
but
basically,
why?
her assist call is an opportunity to give Jedi Knight Revan cooldown cycle and turn meter as long as she can just go after the mark. Because, especially for like the EEzra matchup,
Also-
I'm doing a fair amount of like swap into Satele stun.
Mhm.
She's also going to take a bonus turn whenever somebody starts their turn without battle meditation.
Right.
So she's going to take a deceptive amount of turns if you slow her down to like somewhere between like 210 and 225. She's going to take a bonus turn like every like 2 turn cycles. So she'll end up taking the most turns on the team by the end of the fight at like 210.
Yeah, but the purpose. So we know why you can get away with less speed on her because of this mechanic. That's
You
feeding
also
her
want to go
bonus turn.
last in the turn order.
Yes, but specifically the reason that, if I understand Fatal correctly, that this is desirable is about aligning her next use, her second use of Rally, the buffs up. You want that to align with JKR just after his second use of Mark. Is that correct?
Yeah, it just felt like throughout the fight, it just kept on lining up frustratingly, and it was just like, man, I know the bonus turns are what they are when they are, but there's something to be said for like if the bonus turns are effectively syncing up her speed against, X character based on Satele's speed from when they swap. I just needed her to be a little bit less. I don't know. It's just that's the way it was shaking out for me.
No, I appreciate
I
it.
think
I haven't like.
Sorry, really quick. Anecdotally, the way it's kind of worked for me is having JKR be like as fast as possible, but then also having like a reasonable speed split between like 30-40 speed between your second fastest and your third fastest and your fourth fastest among the 4 of these, having them spread out, I think gives you a lot more value because of the way that the battle meditation will cycle off.
Mhm.
So having like your Jedi Revan at like 340, and then having like your Satele at like 290, and your Jolie at like 250, and then your Bastila at 210, somewhere around. And maybe those numbers aren't quite correct, but having like a good gap there allows for Bastila to like kind of intercede it more frequently with bonus turns.
I can see that. I can see why you would say that.
And Jolie doesn't need to be fast anyways. You can't TMR him, and he's and once you remod him to brick him up. Sorry, this is a 4-man team I'm talking about. We should reduce it back to 3s. But when you're using Bastila on the 3-man team, I do really feel like you want her to be. I mean, I think I had her like 280 this season, and she felt very fast, like maybe 50 speed too fast.
It's funny you guys say this. And maybe it's because I didn't really have any difficult matchups for Satele this week, so I probably just suffering from a lack of experience. But I want to say I didn't feel punished for her being that fast. I certainly was out of phase. I must have been in exactly the way that you guys are describing. But nevertheless, I don't. I didn't once think it's like shit. I am counting the turns till that next Bastila set of buffs comes.
Well, no, but think about it this way, Tash. She's going to take the same amount of turns almost regardless of her speed.
Assuredly,
so why would you bother investing in speed budget?
Well, that's a different argument, which is also a fair one. Like, it's a poor use of speed budget, but I'm also not being punished for this speed being here.
I think the only downside is that if she might outcycle what she like. You have her faster than Satele or slower than Satele?
Slower.
Okay. I mean, it still might be okay. I mean, in 3v3, it's probably going to punish you less.
Why do you mention Satele, though? Because usually you're worried about the buffs going on to JKR. So what's the tie-in?
Well, if she was faster than Satele, then she would cycle it off of herself.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. I think it's only off of... maybe I'm wrong. Go ahead. Yeah, continue.
But the point I'm trying to make is that if she's faster than someone, then she's going to have it cycle off of her.
Yeah.
And you don't want it to cycle off of her, you want it to cycle off of other people.
Right.
You don't, because then she'll never lose it, and you'll get the ability block on counterattacks the whole fight.
Fair.
And then she'll do damage plus anyways. There's just so much to talk about with the moving pieces on this team and their modding. And I think that this is one of those teams where right now, there's a lot of teams that come out and they're like this, where initially I don't think their mods matter a ton, but the people who actually mod the team to do the best version of what it can do are the people who are going to get the most out of it immediately. And then eventually everyone's going to slowly catch up as more teams come out to power creep it back, right? Like Bane's mods still don't matter in the sense that as long as you have good mods on him, whether you're in a health set or health triangle, right? Like the actual very nuanced specific parts of his mods don't matter because he hasn't been power crept too bad yet, right? But you look at teams like Malicos where their mods matter a ton more now, that kind of thing. Eventually her mods will matter more. You'll get rewarded for dialing her in faster rather than later.
I think that's a fair observation.
And that's why I'm putting in the effort now to try and figure this out. I've been trampling all over Fatal, so I'm sorry.
No. All I was gonna say is I haven't done a VOD review to spot check for how many times was it a bonus turn issue and how many times was it a she just outlapped issue. So I can't comment too scientifically in that respect. I just know that over a full 5-minute fight, it was just very, very frequently re-popping back up of it, just you're just a little bit too early, you're just a little bit off sync.
Fair. All right. Any other emergent counters? I think there was one other thing in my own notes I wanted to pull up because it was a surprise. Well, I guess it shouldn't have been such a surprise. Yeah, against Keller and Jocasta Temple Guard, I lost using Stormtrooper Luke, and it might be immediately obvious why. But when I was looking late in this match for a counter to his Kelleran team, and having, some B-team-ish options left, I noticed that I had Stormtrooper Luke, and I was like, oh, there's got to be some type of usage for this. Saw that for Kelleran, which was one of the 2 or 3 remaining teams on the board, there was some good banner history. Yes, it wasn't perfect. There was some loss, but I was willing to chalk that up to, they're probably having some Relic Delta, or they're perhaps not modded well, something like that. Because the win rate was solid, but not perfect. And then we got in the fight. Leia got locked down by Temple Guard. And then Stormtrooper Han removed a lot of turn meter, and Leia never got to do it. And we lost that. So I was led astray. I was deceived by the .gg data. Just as soon as I noticed that Leia really wasn't ever going to have the opportunity to go, I was like, yes, you have done this to yourself, Anakin. So just an observation there. Anything else from you guys? All right. Go ahead.
No, I would just say that I strongly disagree with the general shape of the meta that people took to. It just rang. It was so bizarre to me that everyone saw Satele beat Stranger and decided this cannot stand. I'm pulling Stranger to offense, and instead just started posting a variety of bad teams that all traded horribly. And I was just like, "What are we? Why? What?" You're posting Wappa food? You're posting Tusken food? You're posting Malgus solo or 2-man food? Like, what? Make it make sense to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Look, Satele's going to beat who she's going to beat. Beating a Stranger for 57 is a lot better than what the rest of the stuff you're putting down instead is. Man. Like, what are we doing here? So, I don't know.
I had one opponent this season that very strongly had that thought that no matter what kind of power team they set, maybe outside of catching me with however they chose to split their Rey and Ahsoka. Outside of that, they were going to keep pretty much everything else for offense, and they scored super high on me, something like a 2087. And exactly as you say, they had a board that ended up having something like 5, 6, 7 teams down that were 58able, and 58 them I did, and I got a 2089 and got them by 2. There were a lot of people that I think you're right, that did not have a idea about, not necessarily an equivalent team to put down for Stranger, but at least something that didn't make it so easy when you open up the wall. It's like, oh wow, there's like all of these 58s that I see.
See, what you're describing is what I thought this season would be, and instead, I got the first half of what you said. I got the I'm pulling everything,
Mhm.
and then they would just post like a minus 100, and I was just sitting there like, thanks, I guess. And this isn't shots fired at everyone because it just kept happening, and I was just like, I don't know, man. Is it because my Palpatine is tanky from the Whirlwind days? Why do they keep getting holds? Okay, all right.
The only caveat I'll add to the Stranger thing, because you are right on that, most people should set him. I didn't really have something I trusted versus EEzra, and it was something I trusted versus EEzra.
It was one of the only things that was solid this season. Like, Leia became more and more of a liability as the season went on, people. Because I know people kept planning on using it, and it wasn't working for them. The one round where I saw myself expecting it this week, or in the last couple of weeks, I did keep Stranger for offense, just for that one round.
So while I do agree with the sentiment to slam him on defense and make them Satele it, I didn't put in the effort at all this season, right? Like, you know how we talk about like trying to learn and all that stuff, and like get your strategy. I basically did what Fatal did, except instead of doing what Fatal did, I did what Fatal did in the sense that I didn't prep, but instead of putting everything on defense, I just saved everything for offense.
Cheesy bags. Fair enough.
I mean, whatever. I'm like 17. I'm like pushing 18 mil. Like, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Coasting on your sheer size. Also in game. All right. Next item. Viewer questions. You guys have waited a long time here, and we've got some questions to catch up on in the chat. Let me scroll up to the card here. So, much earlier from Vinal Tabi, he asked, hey guys, is it just me or does the new Datacron set feel slightly overpowered? I personally did not whale out for any of the new crons to get, some early feel on them here for this last week in 3 versus 3. So I really don't have anything to add. What do you guys have to say? Do you have any experience, or have you heard any scuttlebutt worth mentioning?
Cron set's okay.
Yeah.
My bar for overpowered is like Great Mothers bespoke. Man,
that's a name drop.
Pretty overpowered too.
Nothing in just really quick. I'll just say this: nothing in this set feels oppressive. And probably the best 2 level 9s are GI and Drogon, and neither of those are unbeatable.
I will start by saying, because I think a lot of people either didn't know the original time or have forgotten. Drogon Kron's 200% health expires the first time each character takes a turn. So, I am of the general opinion, I don't think Drogon Kron's actually all that impactful. It might be the best thing Leia can be doing, so, like, maybe you might as well.
And it also might be the best offering for Leia out of this new set, if we're just, restricting our considerations to this newest set.
Actually, I take back what I said. I think Drogon Kron's pretty interesting, but not under Leia at all. My plans are to take that shit and post it in squads like Cassian or Saul. I think
there's a good follow-up question here in the chat from Guernsey saying, GI level 9 or 8th brother level 9 for your team? I think that
I'll be getting the level 9 of the character that'll actually be on the team.
Yeah, so I'll just say this. I think that we've had this Grand Inquisitor level 9 before, and I think it's probably your standout for if you're the type that likes to put Inquisitors when it's in season, you like to put it on defense. surely this is better because it's narrowing the gap. It's going to be much tougher. It's pretty much impossible for Malgus to take this on when you can't fear people. So at the very least, you could box that out because that's pretty much everybody's go-to counter when they see it is, oh, all right, fine, I'll just hit it with Malgus. Bet you won't, because we tried last time this was here and it did not work. So yeah, if you're inclined to do that on defense, I think that's surely the best way to go. The eighth brother is often slept upon, and not unjustly so. The character is okay. He does good stuff, just not great stuff on a team that has characters that are actually really great at everything that they do. So I can appreciate that. But that being said, this is kind of nice. The first time any enemy is inflicted with Purge. So, under Riva, in 5 vs. 5, that will be 6 times 5, 30 instances of Purge going out. The first time an enemy is inflicted with Purge. So I guess it's counting...
It's only
per
5
character, right? It's going to count just 5. Eighth brother gains 5% offense and potency, so 25% in 5, right? And then 10 speed. Is the 10 speed per each as well?
Yeah, it's part
so
of
50. So up to 50. And then whenever an Inquisitorious ally defeats an enemy, eighth brother gains a bonus turn, which again, the AoE is nice. The armor shred with the ability block when they've got high stacks of Purge is nice. But anyway, eighth brother gets a bonus turn, removes 100% turn meter from the healthiest enemy. It would seem that can be resisted. And then ignores taunt on his bonus turn and deals 100% bonus damage for 2 turns.
Yeah.
So surely you cannot, let me just say this last thing, and by all means, tack on to me here, but surely you can't expect eighth brother to intelligently use these advantages under the AI. So if this is going to be a shining star for you, this is going to be if you're using your Inquisitors on offense, and you don't otherwise need the advantages specifically granted by Grand Inquisitor. So that's all. All right, go ahead there.
Well, I was going to say, if this said he resets his cooldowns on the bonus turn, then we're talking about this being good. But the fact that he'll do his AoE once and then just be a potato taking bonus turns just means he's going to be a potato taking bonus turns.
I think that in 3 vs. 3, that this is that specific benefit is next to useless. In 5s, it'll help you move through the couple basic turns quickly, I think.
Well, the way that the Inquisitor team works is they already snowball, so this isn't actually helping them snowball faster.
Yeah,
right?
this is the type of thing where maybe there is a less reliable match that becomes more reliable, or maybe there's a new punch up with this, but it does feel like a win harder in a lot of circumstances. I can see that criticism.
That's a good way to put this. If this enables this team to beat something it didn't already beat, this Kron might do something like that. Mm-hmm. Whereas the GI Kron just makes them much, much better at what they already do.
It's pretty good.
And shores up some of its weaknesses. So, and on top of that, I think if you're putting this on defense, it's going to be with Inquisitor Barris in 5v5, and in 3v3 it's going to be with Seventh Sister. So, like I said, I'm gonna focus on the Datacron of the character that's going to be on the team.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement that Inquisitor Barris is kind of meh, but yeah, whatever. Other comments here about that question about these level 9s. I didn't hear from TJ or Fatal on this. Anything you guys had to add? Had to add,
I hate the eighth brother one, and I'm sure, like, in some respects you could use it, it'll be fun, but yeah, I think GI Kron is just stronger fundamentals.
Fair.
I love the Drogon setup. I think it's great. We have it, and it brings some life to the Leia team. But I agree. I don't see anything overpowered.
You have no idea what question I asked you, TJ.
I guess not, apparently.
Yeah.
Mine was pieces on it. The Drogon are the overpowered part of the GI. I know the 8th. I like it, but Dagger's right. 8th is cool. It's just not going to put the traction. The rubber's not going to be on the road because GI is going to do all of the work. And so the Inquisitor Barris does make sense, so you can't revive. But I like the mechanics that they're trying to give 8th. he's just the 6th or the 7th character on the team, right? It's not the primary one you're going to deal with, and I think that's the key piece.
Fair enough.
If we're talking about the Rebel side, do I think Drogon Crown's OP? No, because I'm the last fucking human being on Earth that posts Leia, and you fucks already use Leia in matches where she's gonna win anyway, so there's nowhere to go from here. So fundamentally, it can't be overpowered.
Yeah, it's just that there's just nothing to it. I will say though, I'm liking some of the other ones, but I'm a guy who lives on hope. So I like the Heracron. I like the when we had the ad red setup. So some of the stuff that worked out really well seems like it's back. So I'm liking all the things that we're doing. I'm hoping to see more of it.
Also, the Chiricron is back, and the Chiricron's hilarious.
So yes, and I'm looking forward to running it. When it ran the first time, it had a combo piece level 6.
Yeah,
that is true.
It's fair.
And I don't know if its run is going to be as generational this time.
You're probably. I'm hoping that it still sees the relevance where it gets to see. But then again, I would also say you built on hope more than anybody else, Fatal, for a lot longer. But it still feels pretty strong what they were trying to do. A lot of these were already here and they were good for their times. But again, it could have been like it was good back then. Doesn't mean they'll be good now. Still be fun to try though.
Not to break containment for the next episode,
Mm-hmm.
but I think like a general structure or shape is going to be like Chirrut with Saw, Drogon and Clea with Cassian, and Leia can go fuck herself because I don't know. Just embrace the inevitable and die in a flash of
You're
blood.
not salty. This is say Fatal's not mad about it. You're mad. What are you talking about?
That's right. Good stuff. All right. Next question. Here's a fun one. Very brief, I imagine. Guilty asks, how has CG not fixed the Erodium issue yet? This is literally the last game mode keeping the game alive. WTF. Indeed. CG.
Fun fact. Fun fact, the most played game mode in this game is TB.
Don't listen to Dagger. Dagger's, whatever truth he's
I'm not
speaking,
defending TB. I'm just saying, like, the most played game mode in this game is TB, followed by Conquest, followed by GAC.
Okay. That's the same shit that CG has done. I'm like, well, the metrics show, brother, that's like mandatory compelled participation. If you miss it, you're fucked. Of course it's the highest.
I know!
But
I'm not arguing.
They acknowledged it. Yes. How can you be mad? They acknowledged that they know it's there. It's a feature.
They said one thing. They said one thing 2 years ago to get us to stop making forum posts about it, and then never again.
No, they're just going to give you back your mask, and it's a feature. You're fine.
Statistics showed that 100% of people who I hold at gunpoint do what I say.
That's what I'm telling you.
Like,
you can't complain about what's not there. It's fine. It's just an added feature to the game. Just accept what you get, and they won't make any more changes.
What I'm hearing is GAC needs to be tied to guild incentives.
Jeez. GAC focused guilds. Could you imagine such a thing?
Yeah. Oh man.
Wow.
Guild officers angrily tagging people an hour before GAC round ends. Like,
go get your match in. Go get your match in.
Fights in.
Dude, they would.
Says you stole. You're still on zero. What the fuck are you doing, man?
I wouldn't last a month in one of those guilds. They'd kick me. I wouldn't show up one round and they'd move on.
Hey, we ran the analyze on your GAC. You didn't swap to the defense that we prescribed. What are you doing?
Excuse me, Dagger. I noticed that when I did the hot utils compare, that your number of offensive wins did not increase this round.
All right. Stick up your forefinger. Actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually.
If you don't play for offense, you're just not being a team player. You're no longer welcome here.
Also, doesn't the Drogon Kron, the health expire after Drogon takes his bonus turn?
He literally said that. Fail said that like 5 minutes ago.
Well, that was like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Dude, TJ got to answer a question that wasn't even posed to him.
Am
I allowed to not listen for like 30 seconds?
Yeah.
No. You heard Tassenix, and you heard what happens when you're late. You lose parts. So no, you can't have this be the thing. Actually.
But anyway, I was just going to say, like, I think that's one of the things holding the Drogon Kron back to a degree is because I think last time we had it, it also just had a much better level 6.
Fair.
And we were doing like the Han Chewie setup. If you remember, we were doing like the Han Chewie Drogon. and it was like sniping people out right off the rip.
I just look, man. We've got Datacrons that are just raw dogs saying, "Yeah, this squad's got 200% health for this match." Can we just do it? Can we just give it to them? Just let it rip for 3 months.
At least with this right now, though, at least it feels like we're going to give you something strong, and then they're trying to level it out with the overall setups of the DC. Because if they gave it the right, like let's say the right 6.9 or even 3.69, right, of that tie-in, it would be a much different story. But they gave us something that feels relatively strong, and then tied it to okay stuff, and said, "Here, go have fun." It's like, well, that's fine.
At the same time, the Datacron set has defense, protection, health in it that, like, yeah, it's. I do not think the quote-unquote toxic Leia is going to be returning, and people are going to learn how to Chewie and one-shotting people out.
No,
sorry, buddy, it's a different game now.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, let's. Sorry, what's that, TJ?
Wow, I don't sound anything like.
No, it was Dagger.
No, I was just saying. I think man, I lost my train of thought. I was just saying. I think the Drogankron is going to be way more interesting. I think Fatal did mention this too. It's going to be way more interesting on Saw than it will be on Leia, especially now that Leia has Stormtrooper Luke.
Fair. Hey, thank you, Darth of the Fly, for the follow. Appreciate that. Welcome to the channel.
And to answer there's another question here about are there any good Datacrons this set? Yeah, there's like 4 to 6 good level 9s that I think are worth picking up. So yeah, you're gonna have some fun with this set.
Yeah.
Friendly reminder: protection in Cron and set. Make sure that your Satele and Jamel futures are secured, even though the level 3s are kind of ass.
Yeah. You beat me to it. Talking about the crons that we're setting up for the next season is a standard part of the preview episode going into the next one, so check that out. By the way, I'll be sure to mention this again towards the end. For the upcoming episode of Plotting and Scheming, where we're doing the preview for 5 vs. 5, we will have special guest Scribe Gaming. We meant to have Scribe last season. He had something come up, gave us reasonable notice that he wouldn't be able to make it, and we said, we'd love to try and get you in next month, and it looks like we're going to be able to get that done. So we will be discussing in detail the crons that we felt to prepare, but a real broad stroke piece that Fatal pretty much touched on is whatever you were using from set 26, the blue set. So your marriage of high protection on the stat and light side 25% turn meter, that's gone, right? So look to replace your favorite set 26 crons with this new set. Check that anything that you really liked as far as, the function of those set 26 crons, see that you're doing your best to replace that with what you can get now. So let's head back up and see if I missed another question.
Reds fan 111 asks, any thoughts about ship mods or 7 dot mods?
Yeah, I was trying to go up and catch anything that you steamrolled earlier, industrious young man that you are.
Well, I just saw that question and wanted to answer it. Yes to both. I want both.
Okay. Yeah, I think we can. I think we're current on everything. You want ship mods and 7 dot mods. 7 dot mods feel like a natural progression, especially with as many years as we've had now, where you can farm 6E to 6A materials. I'm not strictly opposed to that, and
I think I'm leaning more towards ship mods than 7 dot mods because. I think when I think of like mod progression, I think of how much it disenfranchises players who start now. So I think not doing anything with mods for a bit longer is probably better. But ships definitely needs a facelift, whether it be Datacrons or mods or something.
Okay, look, I can agree that ships need a facelift in the same way that GAC needs a facelift, in the same way that TW needs a facelift. There's definitely a feeling of staleness for these modes where you kind of intuitively feel that the change that you need wouldn't be all that huge to actually breathe a good bit of life back into the mode. I can absolutely see that. But I feel like ship mods is going to become something that people who aren't wanting to spend big money on it's going to create a new subdivision within the player base. And it'll be I think it'll be very, very acutely felt, but that's just a feeling, right? Any number of ways of implementing it could address that issue. I'm open to seeing something that could work that way, but I'm still dubious. Sorry, go ahead.
When I say ship mods, it's what I've outlined many times on this show before, where you have you have a hat, you have a hull. I forget what the front is. I forget what the back of the ship is called, but you have a front, back, star. Yeah, you have
stern.
a hull. You have hull, stern, port, and starboard. You have 4 mod slots. There's no RNG. They just do what they do. You can crunch them to make them bigger to get a bigger stat in that space. And the front can be plus speed or something else. And all I want is for them to basically be static, essentially, like no RNG. But you can crunch them to make them better, right? So you have a gray, you can make it green, and the stats will go up, but they're fixed.
But let me ask you about this. It feels like what you're describing sounds like it might be fun. Like it might be a way to further customize and personalize your own roster. But really, Dagger, if we stop and think about it honestly, there's going to be a mathematically optimized ship mod to go for. There just will be at least one, that emerges. And now we're just pushing up the journey up to we're creating a new arms race. Everybody's going to go for the same thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
Argument
but the point I'm trying to make is it will allow you to change the speeds of your ships, which will open up design or open up theory crafting for other counters.
But will it? If you create the space that you're looking for, where you've decided that you're going to push the key ships on this fleet, everybody's +4 speed. And wouldn't you know it, that's enough that you're faster than these other ships on X team that you're trying to stomp. Hold on, let me finish the thought. If you're able to create a speed gap that you're looking for, why and you stomp that opponent that week, why doesn't the opponent the next week scout you out and say, "Oh wow, I'm just gonna go ahead and raise that same opposing fleet's ship mods to that same level"? Literally, this arms race I'm talking about. You're describing what I'm saying. You want to do this because you see an advantage that somebody's going to counter.
Nope, that's not what I said. What I said is it allows you to change the speeds of your teams so you can make your Jedi Anakin faster than something else. Right? You make something else faster than Anakin. Right? You can literally change the speeds to make them go in different turn orders, which actually functionally changes the way fights turn out.
Yeah, I know Malevolence in the past was hypersensitive to this, where like you'd be like, wow, this fleet's fucking nuts at 6-star. Then you go to 7-star, and it's just like depressingly bad because the order gets thrown out of whack.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I understand the arms race thing. What I'm saying is, if you make all of the stats static, then the arms race is finite, right? Because the people who need speed on their ships everyone's going to have them eventually. Some people will just get it faster than other people. But like Fatal said, it'll allow ships it'll allow fleets like the Malevolence, like Home One, like Negotiator, a lot more leeway, a lot more space to actually counter some of these ships, maybe even Empire. Because a lot of it doesn't have to do about going first. It has to do with what order your ships go in.
I guess.
The thing that I think will make ships mods actually significant is not because of speed. It's actually because of combat stats. Because a lot of fleets feature very weird, annoying, baked-in RNG of like, what is it like that the average ship is always at like 33% or 35% crit chance or something like that? Like,
pretty low, yeah.
Yeah, it's just that the fleet mode has always had this annoying baked-in RNG, and it's like, no, man. Like, look, if this conversation needs to happen, like, I'm doing the exact same thing that I'm doing on ground lately. Which characters need help with crit chance? Which characters need help with defense? Right? Like, I know the majority of players aren't doing that, so I'm not necessarily worried about an arms race in that respect, because people have already made it clear how they feel about that arms race. They don't give a shit, and that's fine by me. Don't be in my guild. Be one of my opponents. We'll get along just fine.
But yeah, I do honestly believe that ship mods, if you like, to what Grax said in the chat, it sounds like you want to be able to tone down the speed on certain ships. It's not necessarily that I want to tone down speed on certain ships. It's that I want to be able to personally manicure the turn order of my fleet while still having high relics on them for damage. So like Fatal said, I don't want to sacrifice damage for speed. I can't unrelic things I've already reliced. And I think it would be an interesting way to allow fleets, because I think Malevolence actually has some play in this current meta, if it could unfuck a lot of the mechanics that are kind of fucked by Malevolence being 7-star, and also by the fact that the Geos are just kind of, their turn orders aren't correct. Like, buys too fast. Right? So if you're able to like actually change turn orders, I think that changes a lot. Like, for example, the Leviathan, I don't give a shit if your ships are all 4-speed faster. The same things that are gonna beat it are gonna beat it. Right? Like, that's cool. I go second. I can win anyways. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care about that. I care about being able to take my negotiator to beat your, punishing one again, or God forbid we can actually make Negotiator or Endurance actually beat Leviathan this way. You know what I mean? Like, I think, depending on how they implement ship mods, I think that you could, on the front of the ship, it could either be speed or you could give your ship advantage. Whenever it uses a special, it gives itself advantage on its next attack or something, right? That's 200% crit chance, I think. That'll make sure it crits. That's probably more valuable. If it uses a special, its next attack is going to have advantage. That's probably more important to a lot of counters than having the extra speed.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like what you guys are saying to make an interesting difference. I'd have to see it, because my suspicion is that unless they're actually going to grow the fleet board to be 4 fleets, I feel like whatever optimizations and changes that you'll make with turn orders and stuff will be a matter of weeks before that is countered and modified for, and bringing us back to a state of equilibrium. Like, that's I feel like it, if not done well, could take a few weeks to get back to the same state. That's what I'm worried about. But I appreciate the optimism for what this could look like one day.
Well, they've shown a determination to not add new fleets. So ship mods, I guess, is what I have to hope for.
I mean, I don't even, without growing the size of the fleet board in Grand Arena, I don't know that either thing is really all that good.
Well, I figure if they brought ship mods, it would become a 4-fleet defense, because things like Malevolence and Negotiator could be, because of the way that these mods would work, would help them actually compete.
If we want to tack that on as a in tandem assumption, that if we had,
I just assume that.
Yeah, if we had ship mods introduced with an expansion of the Grand Arena fleet board plus 1 fleet, okay, now we're really talking about something. I think there's something there. That would be a lot of fun. All right, let's see. Where are we at with questions, guys? No, that was a great conversation. Here,
I also think Malevolence mechanically could have opportunities to beat Leviathan if given like a fair opportunity, and not have being. The fleet was built in 2018, right? Like, the fleet's 8 years old.
That it is.
But I think mechanically the buzz droids are good to like shred Leviathan. So if it probably doesn't need a ton of help to get there.
No, I mean, everybody here is aware of circumstances in which Profundity can lose to Malevolence, and Profundity's not only a more modern fleet, it's also been tweaked more recently. It doesn't need a lot of help. Completely agree with you. All right. Next item. Let's see here. Yeah, Vin says, I totally disagree. Nobody needs ship mods. What we need is ship captains, where ships get new stats or new abilities depending on what character we put in charge of the ship. That is kind of novel, actually. I hadn't thought about that. You've got the existing capitals, but maybe in a lore-appropriate way, you might rotate somebody else in. So we don't have an Admiral Trench fleet, but you might make Admiral Trench the commander of the Malevolence and modify the abilities somehow. That's kind of neat.
Well, I think the idea behind that is already kind of bunk to a degree because it's like you have the Millennium Falcon, but you could put Han and Chewie into crew it, or you could put Rey into crew it. They'll eventually give us Red
Well,
5.
that would be a
Luke
fair
in it,
point
or
if they
you put
didn't
Rey
have so
in it.
many distinct versions of Falcon, though. I mean, each
Yeah,
one has their place.
but that's what I mean. Like, I think that's a good idea. I just think that's going to be hard to implement, seeing as we already have a couple of different duplicates.
Well, to be clear, I don't think he's talking about doing this all over the place. I think he's talking about doing it for fleet commanders in particular.
Yeah, and
Just the
I'm
commanders.
expanding that to also be like a lot of these ships. You could have different pilots who have different abilities.
Yes, but that I think could really become like it's going to be tough enough just to balance out the idea of having just the commanders having flexibility.
That's not my problem.
Yeah, I understand it's not your problem. But it's also but you also don't want it to be Mickey Mouse, baby's first day running a mobile game, so you want them to get it right as close as they can to the first try as possible. So you can't be so glib, right? They've got to put something in that they think is actually going to stick and work.
But if you're asking me how to fix fleet, the actual answer is give us 6 more capital ships and 80 more ships and do it tomorrow. But that's not going to happen either, right? So if we're talking about things that aren't going to happen that we'd like to happen, we can have that discussion. I'm saying that ship mods are the thing that seems the most likely.
Okay.
But the way to actually fix fleet is to actually just add more fleets.
Yes,
not ships,
that's what
fleets.
I was about to say is I think we can all come together and agree that any of these ideas to improve fleet by any means should also include expanding the fleet footprint to make use of all of this. Otherwise, it's just, you can't concentrate fleets for the most part in a meaningful sense the same way that you can with squads in Grand Arena. Can you tuck in your Millennium Falcon with your Home One fleet as a surprise reinforcement? And can that catch somebody out? Absolutely. That's fine. You can, at the cost of you having that much weaker of a profundity fleet in some other application. And if that works for you, great. But there's a big element of risk in such a trade that really isn't present with so much consequence, I think, in squads. So, anyway, any other thoughts you guys have on fleet with that question? All right.
One more thing to add.
Please. That's what I asked. Please.
We can't even complete Lightside GOTB.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have enough fleet GP.
That old gem. That is true.
Yeah. So, like, when I talk about we don't have enough fleets, we were like when that TB came out in 2019, I think it was, we were like 4 fleets short of being able to do it. Or 4.5 fleets short. Fast forward 7 years, we're still 3.5 fleets short.
Yeah.
Like, they haven't really done anything in fleet for the last. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys, we've got time for maybe another question or two, so get them in, and if not, we'll move to, get ready to wrap up the show. But, these are always fun. We know you guys like the end of season live show, so this is always a good time. Guys, since we have a moment in between questions, any other thought that's occurred to you in the course of our conversation that you wanted to get out?
Well, I'll just say I'm sorry if I'm like extra chatty. Been under the weather, so I've been sleeping a lot. So getting to actually talk to people, I'm a little, maybe overzealous with this. So apologize if I'm talking over people and stuff.
The question did ask about 7 mods, and my view is 7E less interesting. 7, like the E of a new mod tier usually just kind of acts as like a mini balance patch. So, I mean, mods are pretty broadly in a good state overall. I would just maybe say like buff health and crit chance sets maybe to be like more impactful. Maybe buff health primaries.
Buff like health and crit chance sets is something I hadn't given thought to, but intuitively that feels really good. That feels like a really good idea.
Also buff crit damage sets, because if you buff crit chance sets, I want to see like I mean, we can argue over what the numbers would be, but if you buff crit chance, I would like to see like crit damage go from like 30% to like 35% as well, just to actually like, maybe make it compete on like a meaningful level with offense mods.
Well, isn't the only reason why crit damage isn't objectively better than offense in all cases is you might not actually crit. If you had the same amount of offense,
there's always going to be matchups where you won't crit. There's always going to be instances where you won't build for crit because you can't reliably crit.
Yes.
And special damage dealers just historically don't crit.
So I guess I asked that question because you're saying, if they were to buff crit chance and health mods, you'd like to see that tweak on crit damage just to make it more worthwhile. But isn't the act of raising the amount of crit chance on crit chance mods, which is what I presume a buff would look like a bigger bonus from the set bonus, right? Is how I guess that would manifest. Is that not itself a buff to crit damage? And why do you think that extra seasoning is needed?
Because crit damage is a wider cone of damage. Because if you don't crit, you're doing less. You're doing nothing. And if you are critting, you're doing more. Where offense, if you're not critting, you're doing less. But if you are critting, you're doing more. But that cone is just better. So if you buff crit chance, you're actually just buffing special damage dealers.
Well, that's certainly true. Yeah.
So in order to give the physical damage dealers back a little bit of that power, I would like to see crit damage get buffed a little as well.
Okay.
Because that would benefit more specifically the physical damage dealers.
Okay. Any thoughts on that, guys?
It'd be nice to see an expansion on some of the other stats like that. I know they stuck it on, but seeing the expansion to the health pool would be pretty cool. Good chance as well. Definitely like to see that stick in, especially those like special damage dealers. And having to try to basically sell your soul to catch the right setup. That would be pretty awesome.
Rework offense primaries. That's what they really need to do.
Rework defense primaries.
Well, the defense
all
primary
the
is 20.
disused.
Well, the defense primary is 20%. I'm talking about like the offense cross is 8.5%, where you can basically get that on a secondary. I'm just saying bump that to 10. Right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I take the point. But all those disused ones, I mean, certainly they have the, analytics to see what their most disused primaries are. And yeah, ripe opportunity to buff them. It might take a lot to actually make it competitive with, some of the more traditional picks for primaries, but that would be interesting to see. Sorry, you're going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, I would like to see them do more, I like Fatal's idea better than 7-dot mods, because if somebody started playing this game today, not only they're never going to catch up in mods with people who started when we started, they're never going to catch up with people in mods who started the year ahead of them. And I say never, but what I mean is, unless they're willing, if they're not willing to spend $1,000 a month kind of, right? Like, there's no reasonable catch-up mechanic outside of incinerating dollars.
If we assume that it's reasonably obtainable, 7-dot mods existing would be the catch-up mechanic.
Only if they hyper buffed flat stats.
Well, and it also is assuming that the person is not free to play, because surely whatever power 7-dot is coming, you'll get a trickle. You'll get maybe but a taste for free. To get some actual traction and coverage, you're opening the wallet.
Yeah, I'm just assuming that it's reasonably obtainable.
Yeah.
It'll be a process over time, of course, but look, man, there's a lot of spending players who don't know what good mods mean. And when 7-dots hit, yeah, but guess what? Speed's going to be pretty easy to obtain 5 rolls on. What are you doing with the other 10 rolls? Congrats. You've gotten everything you've ever wanted. You're going to have all the speed mods your heart could desire. Do you actually know what a good mod looks like? Or were you just speed hunting the whole time? That's the great equalizer. If you're new to the game and you want to be how do I outskill these players? Yeah, that would be the way. Because very quickly you could just hyper-focus on the good bets, and you will just be ahead of people who have taken all the bad bets, which, spoiler, it's a pretty big percentage of the player base.
Yeah. Well, Loop Flash says, too, hard to equalize obtain with old players. I mean, it's about time. Yeah, that's the part I was talking about. Not necessarily are your mods good. It's how many years do you have to manicure your collection. But also, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they put attenuators in like right away? Just made them farmable?
The point that I'm trying to make is that if we're talking about time advantage, 7 dot would erase a lot of that time advantage because it would, like, frankly, a lot of people's mod collection would suddenly become dog shit. A lot of speed chasers mod collections would become like, oh, that's just a sell. Like, hey, here's my 80th 25 speed mod, and it has all dog shit secondaries. Like, that, like, eventually, as 7 dot would spread out, that would genuinely just be like a pilot mod or eventually a sell.
Fair. What if they added a 6th or 7th role max with 7 dot mods? Well, I would pretty much expect that, honestly.
I wouldn't.
That's assumed.
I
Really?
Well, but
I just think they let you have 3 things with 5 rolls.
no, I mean we're talking about 7 E through A, are we not?
Yeah, we are. I'm expecting
No,
more
7
rolls.
dot mods would just be the 7 dot rounding it off.
Oh, you're saying you want it to move up to 7E, and that's
No.
it for now.
No, sorry. When I saw the question, generally when that question's asked, it is, do you want the 7E mod? Not, do you want 7A mods?
Yeah,
Do I
but
want 7A mods?
if we're
Yes.
talking about
So-
creating
so-
the 7th dot in general,
No,
should.
no. I'm saying that this is a tracking error on my part, because I was under the assumption we were talking about 7E mods and not 7A mods.
We were
Well, I
talking
talked about
about
both. I said
7
that.
dot mods overall, which would cover everything.
Yes,
My-
but when we got 6 dot mods, it was 6E, and we had those for significant.
Yes, which is exactly why I asked you a second ago. When you heard 7 dot, you were thinking only 7E.
Yes, that's why I said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
I don't like 7A mods. I like it for me. I don't like it for anybody who just started.
This is what I mean by, like, this is how I kind of, I mean, yes, I agree with you there. And this is also how I view ship mods, in the sense that, like, you know, you like the idea of regular mods going 7E to 7A because you know you're going to be resourced to take advantage of that. The players that aren't, it's going to be a new subclass of player, a new band of player created from that. And I'm just generally not enjoying more segmentation of the player base because, especially with the Erodium issue, it is uncommon to face new opponents, and I do want to have people feel like it is attainable to push, even with a smaller account. If you're judicious with your investments and, you know, careful with your play, should you be able to make your way to the top? Or it's like, nah, well, you just didn't go deep when 7 dot mods came out, so, you know, enjoy life outside the top 200 type of thing. That's what I'm worried about. I know I'm not going to get left behind. You know you're not going to get left behind. But it isn't about us.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, if you make ship mods static and you just let them stack, yeah, people are going to get to the end first.
Yeah.
But again, if I said ISO 8, you wouldn't know what I was talking about. But Google ISO 8 from Marvel Strike Force, and that's what I would want ship mods to be. There is no arms race. It's just who gets to the finish line first.
Fair.
And the people who spend will get there first, and everyone else will catch up in time.
Okay. I could, yeah.
That's
If implemented in
what
that way, that sounds all right.
When I'm talking about ship mods, that's what I'm talking about. I want autonomy over my ships, not necessarily blanket boosts to my ships.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways.
All right, guys. No more questions really coming in, so it looks like it's time to switch over to takeaways and final thoughts. You have survived this 3 vs 3 season. Set 26 is no more, so we already mentioned, make sure to look to get your replacements for that. We'll have a lot more to discuss in terms of our preparations going into the next 5 vs 5 season in our next episode. But, you know, looking towards the next 3 vs 3, think about the teams and datacrons that were present this past 3 vs 3 season that will be with you next time. Shore up your weaknesses. Think about your counters that are using these same datacrons. Think about how, for any of the set 26 crons that you're needing to replace with the new set 29, Does this change how you're going to use this team on offense? You know, for example, if your JML with a Nucron has a high protection stack on the stat, but you don't have 25% turn meter on the level 3, that change who you're using it against. All good things to think about, you know, while we've got a good while to wait until we're in 3 versus 3 again. That's it for me. How about you, Dagger? What do you got takeaways and final thoughts wise?
Looking forward to the next 3v3.
Amen to that. I love threes.
Because I think we'll have this era then, won't we?
We'll have this era week 2 of 5v5, I think.
Well, yes, but I'm saying we'll have this era for next 3v3 is what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be fun because we're going to get 2 new teams. Technically like 3.5 new teams, but 2 new teams functionally. In the sense that, you know, the light side and dark side characters. But we're getting like, man, the Rebel Fighters are getting a ton of help. And I think that's going to be really cool going into the next 3v3 because we'll have the Drogon Kron with this new Cassian and Clea and like, man, I don't even know how we're going to split them. I think that's the part that's running through my head right now is how are we going to split these idiots next season? Because we don't even know one of the Datacron sets we're going to have, and it's presumably going to have focus Datacrons from the new era, and my brain is just like excited for the possibilities. The same way the last era hitting was like had me excited for the possibilities. So
Sure.
just already trying to plan out what I want and maybe do some remodding. Yeah, I mean, this was a middle of the road season. It felt better than previous seasons, partially because Set 25 was gone. But I think that kind of made me feel better about it. But I do think that this season was overall not the best. I mean, it wasn't bad. So I'm hoping that because the last 3v3 season was excellent. So I'm hoping that the next 3v3 season is also really good. Because of the new teams. So
it's interesting.
Anyways.
I don't have such fond memory of the last 3 versus 3. Certainly more than the 5 versus 5s around it. I'll give you that. But compared to this 3 versus 3, I enjoyed this one more. So I'm surprised to hear you say that.
I just enjoy having a wrench thrown in every week. And last 3v3 we had a wrench thrown in every week. We had like
You mean
Conquest
that just happened to
era.
line up with new teams getting added to the board every week.
Yeah, and that was fun for me.
No, I could see that. All right, yeah,
because every week was a new meta, and that was really cool.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Anything else you have there?
No, that's what I got.
No problems. All right, over to you, TJ. What do you got for the people? Takeaways and final thoughts.
I like the thought about the Rebels coming up in that season. I think that's going to be a fun one. I'm just pleasantly surprised with the Datacron cadence. And if it keeps up like that, Fatal was right. I was pessimistic on it, but feel much better getting to see it in action. And I generally am a bigger fan of 3v3. I think we've all talked about that. Getting to split out for 15 teams and more things to do and try. I lost my match against Payton. Great player, but I got to try stuff and hey, sometimes it doesn't work out. But I had a lot of fun doing it, and I didn't feel bad or whatever you want to call it. So I like that. If we can continue on with this trend, obviously we all want the rework. I'm looking forward to the next season and seeing what the Rebels get to do.
All right. Sounds good. And then last but never least, over to you, Fatal. Your takeaways and final thoughts closing out this 3 versus 3 season.
Yeah, it's I pretty much agree that I'm very much looking forward to the arrival of the Andor era. I gotta say, I did not remember any announcement of the materials transferring over from the last era to this one. So I have just been messing around with Cassian and Clea. I feel like earlier than I would have expected at level 85, just to kind of get used to how they're going to feel in PvP. That team is very cool. And then actually, as we were going through this episode, I was catching Partygaz and Dedra up, and they're doing some pretty cool stuff. I am very much looking forward to both of these squads, especially because I don't think ISB is nearly as bad as people seem to think. I don't know why they think that. I think they'll be doing good stuff. I think
most people think that it's like heavy on manipulation and effects and stuff like that, but light on damage. At least without having seen a lot of it in action.
Well, my preemptive frustration with the team is that it's going to be hard carried by mechanics, and those are like coin flips on how well they age.
I mean, they're running a game plan of like, we go first and increase your cooldowns, and then tank your speed, and we go like crazy and do a bunch of mass assists and all that. Like, if you fight them against a team that doesn't let you manipulate their cooldowns, is that going to feel worse? Yeah, probably. But like, there are similar teams that work similarly, and as metas come and go, they'll come and go, and yeah, I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, I expect ISB to level out somewhere like Gungans, right? Like, with a certain datacron set, very powerful, but always represented on the modern board somewhere on offense or defense.
They also are, at least Partigaz and Deidre, their AI seem bad defense.
Neither of these teams will be going on defense.
No, that's fair. I'm just saying, like, this falls into that category of how many more offense teams do we need?
Yeah, indeed. Here we are talking about another two.
Yeah. The market is always open for teams that can undersize effectively. Especially teams that can get good banners.
Krennic lead. Go Gadget Krennic lead. Sorry.
What else you got, though, Fatal?
No. I'm open to it, looking forward to it. 5v5, I think, is going to be a return to Cheeseland. I think it'll be less ambiguous. Yeah, we'll see. I'm looking forward to Andor skimming containment in week 2 of that at least, but okay. I am just hoping that next 3v3 feels that people can return to normal a bit. That, look, man, my Saw Gerrera in the first 2 weeks of GAC had 35 battles against it. My Saw Gerrera with blinking flashing lights screamed at my opponent, "If you Traya this, it will be the easiest fight of your life." Nobody Trayed it. There were 35 battles against it, and it was like a 5% win rate. I just would like to see some opponents put the square in the square hole. Like, I didn't run Kyle Katarn. I didn't run an Armor Pen Kron. I didn't put up any resistance. I was like, look, man, if you're going to trade, you can have the free win. And then nobody took the free win. I'm hoping that next season that people will start taking free wins again so we can just play some normal GAC rounds, because I still cannot scientifically explain the last 9 matches.
Fair. Now,
people got in their own way fiercely.
Yeah, I believe it. Don't really have anything to add on to that one. But listen, are you going to be busy here during the off week? And if so, where can the people find you?
Twitch.tv/PlaybookTV, YouTube.com/splat. I cannot talk.
Yeah, you're falling apart here.
Twitch.tv/PlaybookTV, YouTube.com/theplaybook. Don't know if I have anything for the off week planned. I don't know. I'm kind of feeling proactive that I might do some pre-planning streams for 5v5 just to get some thoughts out and see if I can't break the cycle of waiting to the last minute. But no promises. If I do, I will tag it out on my Discord.
Sounds great. You're always welcome to come play Overwatch with me. I've been doing a lot of that on the side. Having fun.
I don't know if I have Overwatch. I mean, look, Marvel Rivals is not doing right by Black Widow at all, but I don't know if I have Overwatch hunger. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm still kind of...
I mean, that's fair. I'll be honest with you. It's been a few months since I came back to playing Overwatch, and what bit me and has me keeping playing is the map picking at the the like 3 random maps pop up, and then all 10 players vote, and the most popular one is the map you play on. That feels cool. to have that degree of control. And then adding bans. Each side gets to ban out 2 characters. So you're shielded from the excesses of the meta. I really like just those 2 things made such a difference in how that feels. So yeah, I mean, if you do have any interest at all, look me up because I've been mashing that button.
It's funny you mentioned that because I actually forgot that when I was debating firing up Overwatch, that was one of the things that I heard is like people talking about the meta. And it's like, Widowmaker, you just permaban on the X and Y map, and I was like, oh, that's awful for me. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know. They keep adding new characters, and I think if it's been a while for you, there's more competition in the Widow space. Not as like strict snipers like Widow and Hanzo and stuff like that, but other characters that are not quite that, but are filling a lot of the same space. Anyway, if you have an interest, you know where to find me.
Yeah, I got you. I'm still kind of fighting game aligned for the near future. We're kind of in the calm before the storm. Like we've got the Invincible fighting game straight into the Avatar fighting game, straight into the Marvel fighting game. Is like it's gonna be a hot few months here.
No,
so
I hear you. Say, I heard about that new Invincible fighting game just coming up. Is that just replaced, or is that going to be replacing 2KXO for you? Are you like me where you only really have it in your heart to play one game of each type? Like I could never play both Marvel Rivals and Overwatch, for example.
No, I am down to play multiple.
Okay.
They made some really fucking questionable choices with 2XKO that studies will be done of or retrospectively will be done of how they mishandled communication around that game's launch of
Holy. They
did just an insane amount of self-sabotage because basically the game had a 10-year dev cycle, spent way too much, and 1 month after it officially came out they were like, yeah, the game's not making enough to sustain this dev team, and that announcement also basically revealed that the dev team was shockingly large for a fighting game, but everything about the way they messaged it sounded it didn't sound like it if you actually read it, but to the average player, sounded like they were shutting the game down.
Yeah.
And they weren't, but they laid off half the staff. And it's just I enjoy the game, but reading the tea leaves and keeping track of certain metrics for popularity, I just feel very shaky about its future that I've kind of been waiting for Marvel, Togon, and Avatar to come along. Those feels like more surefire, stable bets. I know Strive just got its 2.0 that I'm planning to pick up as well. So yeah, it's a weirdly huge year for fighting games in a lot of ways, but it's got
if we're talking about video games, if we're talking about video games, Crimson Desert is fucking excellent.
Yeah, you've been enjoying that. I know you've been on it.
Yeah, well, during my waking hours, when this morning when I was up from 3 to 7 before I went back to sleep, nobody the fuck else was awake. So it's let's just, man, between Celeste 2 and Crimson Desert and last year Expedition 33, man, and then I still haven't gotten to the DLC of Elden Ring yet. Man, there's so many good games right now. It's hard to and I also play Marvel Rivals, but and several other games. But yeah, it's if we're talking about video games, I definitely recommend if somebody wants to pick up Crimson Desert, you will not be disappointed. They have done so many patches already to fix. Basically, every time a problem comes up, they fix it within a couple days. It feels like they're really on top of their shit.
That's good. That's a kind of attention to major issues that you'd want to see with the new game. So, glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Anyways, sorry.
Well, no. Well, I was just about to say thank you, gentlemen, for making the time to be with me today for the show. Thank you, everybody out on Twitch and YouTube who tuned in live. Appreciate your questions. We will be back here next week with Scribe. That'll be a regular episode coming out on the regular release schedule. We won't have another live episode until the week 3 wrap up of the next 5 vs. 5. But yeah, next week, special guest, Scribe Gaming, should be fun. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you all there. We'll definitely have a ton to talk about because there's a lot of prep work going into the week, I feel. Anyways, if you want to be in touch, you want to find out when I'm going to be going live, you got questions, you want to see when my videos are coming out, got to be on my Discord. Check that out. There's the link. And of course, if you're catching me here live, you already know I'm here at twitch.tv/Tassenix. I also simulcast from my YouTube channel, Tassenix Gaming, where if you've not been there before, check it out. Whole bunch of Swugger-related content that I think you'd be interested in. Stuff like the How to Mod Guide series, mod guides on individual characters and factions that you guys have requested. You know, a whole bunch of different odds and ends videos in there over time. And of course, my Grand Arena VODs with chapters added. It is also a rebroadcasting point for this very show, which is native to Spotify, but wherever you catch an episode of Plotting and Scheming, check the description. There is a link that you can use to plug it into your preferred podcast program and follow us that way. Anything that you enjoy on my channels, please, like on YouTube, hit like, hit subscribe to see more. Follow me on Twitch. All great ways to support the channel, absolutely free. Really appreciate that as we close in on 2,000 YouTube subscribers. Really appreciate that, guys. Thank you. If you want to go above and beyond the Call of Duty to support the stream, there are a few ways to do so. First of all, I do have a Cash App that is $Tassenix. I do have a PayPal, which is tassenix@gmail.com. And if you're interested in getting some enhanced Grand Arena scouting power for yourself, early access to my content, including Plotting and Scheming, and a few other benefits besides, you may be interested in becoming a patron. Check out patreon.com. Come on. There you go, /Tassenix. For any upwardly mobile Grand Arena player, there is something there of interest for you. At $5 a month, you enter the Tass House at VIP access level, where you get early access to Plotting and Scheming. That is coming out to our general audience Friday mornings at 8 a.m. Eastern, but patrons have it as early as Monday or Tuesday night, depending on when we sit down to record. And that'll give you, an early insight heading into the first round of the week. I will also make, patron-exclusive videos on occasion, especially upon request, but you guys will have that at least a month ahead of the general public. And of course, dedicated text and voice chat on Discord, where I am usually lurking, so pop on in and say hi. Thank you so much to all my patrons here at VIP Access. Moving on up to the $10 a month tier is VIP Access Plus, where you get a bundled Patreon access to me and to your choice of either OmegaBot or Hot Utils Patreon. OmegaBot's a tool that I highlight at the start of all of my Grand Arena streams. It's the one with the graphs that give you an easily understood sense of your opponent's offensive and defensive tendencies. Anybody can use that tool for free to scout their opponent's last week of Grand Arena history, but only patrons can build out a custom report with any number of weeks. You get a downloadable HTML version of that report with embedded links that, when you click them, take you right back into swugger.gg or Insight with data pre-sorted, just helping you further minimize and focus your scouting efforts. Alternatively, you might go for Hot Utils Patreon, aka Chili subscription, which is your #1 tool for mass mod management and loadout creation. Nothing else lets you switch so easily between your Grand Arena, TB, TW, and Raid mods. You can use it like TJ and Fatal do to comprehensively remod your roster using the powerful automation feature. You can help out your guild in TW, slice through hundreds of mods in seconds, and so much more. No wrong way to go at VIP Access Plus. Thank you so much to all of my patrons subscribed here. And here at VIP Access Premium, that is $15 a month for the Double Bot bundle. So Patreon access for me, OmegaBot, and Hot Utils, all in one price. Going out and getting just those 2 bots anywhere else costs the same as this triple bundle, which is why so many of my patrons say it's one of the best values in the game. Thank you so much to all of my patrons here at VIP Access Premium. I know you guys enjoy the double bots. At the top of the list, Injustice Club Elite, the one, the only Nomad's Reaper, a madman who pops into stream occasionally and goes crazy just handing out hundreds of subs, thousands of biddies, carries hype trains, and so much more. Thank you so much for the incredibly generous support over the years, Nomads. Likewise to Pills, who shows up, from time to time, and usually towards the end of my streams, and then just starts unexpectedly dropping 10 gift subs here, 100 gift subs there. Never know what quite to expect, but it is always generous, and it is always appreciated. Thank you, Pills. Special thanks go first out to the Lost Womp Rat, one of my patrons, who's gone well above and beyond the Call of Duty, not only just supporting me being a patron, but helping out with all of the tech-related issues that a streamer might have. And also, not just for me, but for the community at large. And he just got me back up on YouTube the other day when I was streaming here. I thought I was live on both Twitch and YouTube, but I wasn't, and he got me straightened out in a jiffy. So, yeah, just tons of stuff like that. Thank you so much for all the time and attention, Womp Rat. To Mrs. T, my wife, thank you for all you do in the background, whether that's bringing me something to eat or drink while I'm here on stream, or just keeping our daughter from tearing the house apart while I'm trying to be the very best like no one ever was at a phone game. I appreciate you. And of course, to my co-hosts here on Plotting and Scheming, Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. Gentlemen, as always, it has been my pleasure and privilege to record our show. You know, despite the pressures of work, family, raising kittens, whatever the case, you guys still show up every week, and I appreciate it because I learn in every episode, but, you know, I'm hoping you guys also get something out of it from time to time. Regardless, it's not about us. It is about the viewers and listeners tuning in, and they're giving us feedback on the show, guys. It's rare that a day goes by that I don't get a comment, a DM, something, thanking us for our conversations on the show. People are listening, picking up tidbits that they can apply in their own Grand Arena matches, and it's helping them win the day. So we're having the effect that we wanted to. Thank you guys so much for being part of this show, nearly 3 years on, and I would not change a thing. All right, heading back over to the main scene. There we go. All right, let's get ready to send you guys out. You know, we've got, oh, well, there's my game. The other button, there we go. Let's get the YouTube folks out the door. Wonder who's still live. Somebody we can send you to. Galaxy, anybody alive? Nope. Looks like I'll be dropping you guys off into the abyss when I raid out the Twitch people. If I'm raiding out. Same category. All right. Couple people alive. Only one English-speaking stream with one viewer. How about that? Let's go ahead and make his evening, yeah? Get ready to raid. You guys know the drill. Shields up, weapons online, make ready to depart. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Plotting and Scheming. It's been a fun season. Looking forward to all of the prep work that I'll be doing here, getting ready for 5 versus 5. And until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.